You are on. Go ahead, my friend. Tell us, I guess you can start out by telling us a little about yourself in case people don't know who you are, and then uh, what projects you're looking at and what you're working on with the security idea.
Absolutely. So my name is Maddie Allen, and I was a neuroscientist for 7 years. Then I was a mental health and substance abuse therapist for 7 years. And now I've been in crypto for 7.3 years. And so I got into Bitcoin and Ethereum initially in 2017, 2016, 2017. And then when Hex launched, I was part of that, saw the rise and fall over and over again of Hex, and you know, was really interested in Richard Hart's teachings and this whole idea of time locking money and sending it to your future self. That's been really interesting to me from a psychological perspective. And so I found out after about 6 months in Hex that there was this huge online community, and I started by making a few celebrity shout out videos and then started showing my face. I started doing a weekly live stream every Tuesday and Thursday night for the past 158 weeks. I have not missed a Tuesday or a Thursday night. On Tuesday, I have guests on, and I call that Game Theory Gang. And then on Thursday night, we have Hex Therapy Live, which is me going solo and speaking about mental health and crypto, which are my 2 points. Yeah, so I've founded a project that has no token, no sacrifice, and a 0.1% fee, which is 1 out of 1,000 units. So it's 3 times cheaper than a swap. And that's called timepays.me. And so, yeah, the other thing that I'm known for, other than driving a 1981 DeLorean, like in the movie Back to the Future, which symbolizes paying your future self, the other thing I'm known for is hosting the Hex Conference every year. We've got the 4th annual Hex Conference coming up. And I'm the last person to have live streamed with Richard Hart, the founder of Hex and Pulse Chain. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about the conference and Time Pays Me and whatever else you guys want to hear about.
Great. We also have Hexi Bastard is here, but it is 3 a.m. for him. He got the time wrong.
All
And
right.
he
He's
might,
up first.
well, you guys, I don't know if you guys want to both do a smaller set, or he said he can also come back in 2 weeks. So it's up to you what you want to do.
Um, what is he up for?
Let me see. He might have left. Oh no, he's still in here. Well, we're talking on Telegram and here. Hexy, do you want to do a quick one, or do you want to come back in 2 weeks? It's up to you. And we can go a little bit later than 8 too if you both want to go. It's just I know it's 3 a.m. for him, which is not fun. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
what's good, fellas? Yeah, I don't mind, man. I can hang around for a little bit. It's no problem. Sorry, I haven't got camera set up or anything either at the
No
minute,
problem.
so it'll just be my audio, I'm afraid.
All right, we'll just have Maddie go until he's good, and then if you're still here, we'll bring you on. If you're asleep, then we will see you in 2 weeks.
Well, if it's okay, let's have Hexi Bastard on first, because
Okay.
it's only 9 p.m. for me, so.
That's good. Let's have Hexy go, and Hexy, if you can, if it's a half hour or something, then we'll let you get back to bed.
Yeah, sweet, sweet. No worries, no worries. Yeah, cool. So, what do you guys want to know?
I guess, yeah, just tell people who you are. They might not know you. Most do, but just tell them who you are, what you're about, and then we can get into your projects and 9-inch, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, cool. So, yeah, my name's Hexi Bastard. I started out as like a Hex and Richard Hart kind of fan stream, maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. We were just kind of hanging out, and we had a little bit of a more like light-hearted approach with it. I was the first guy from the UK to do one, and I think I made us all look kind of bad, to be honest, because my stream was consisting of getting people on, and we were just kind of chatting shit. It wasn't too serious. We were just having fun. We had a lot of like pub quizzes and things like this going on, and I kind of just tried to do like a slightly contrarian type of stream. There was a lot of Hex streams out there, but there wasn't really anyone who was like drawing dicks on charts and doing, you know, silly stuff like that. So I kind of went down that approach, and yeah, built up a little bit of a following. I know Matty well. Like me and Matty have streamed together quite a few times now, so always good fun. And basically about a year and a half ago, whilst we were waiting for Pulse Chain to come out, I had an idea come to me about doing like a cool meme coin called Poor Pleb. And we did do a sacrifice and stuff like that for it, which at the time was kind of stupid, like doing a sacrifice for a meme coin. But we kind of wanted to show how stupid, no, not how stupid, but like show people that they are really willing to sacrifice for kind of anything. Because there was a lot of dumb sacrifices going around in the Hex and Pulse Chain ecosystem at the time. And people were just throwing money at these things, and some of these things were like the dumbest ideas ever. So I thought, like, let's give everyone the stupidest idea ever that they could ever sacrifice for. And it raised $1.4 million, which is a crazy number for a meme coin. But since then we've been working on that, and then I teamed up with another team from a coin called Pulse Doge. They were the first ever meme coin to come out that was sort of Richard Hart related, and teamed up with those guys, and we came together to build 9inch, which is we've all heard of 1inch.io. 9inch is kind of a play on that. It's a decentralized exchange on Pulse Chain and Ethereum. Our focus really is to give the meme coin space a place to play, and we're focusing the meme coin space as much as we can. We launched about 2 months ago now, something like that, and yeah, we're doing pretty well. I think we've got something like $12 million of liquidity on the Pulse Chain side and like $3 or $4 million on Ethereum. But we're just slowly starting to build up our base, and we've shook hands with a lot of different communities in the meme coin space on Ethereum and on Pulse. And we're just trying to grow, man. We're just trying to become the second largest DEX on Ethereum. I think we're already the second largest DEX on Pulse Chain. So yeah, we're just trying to build it up from there. So happy to take any kind of questions or whatever people want to talk about with it.
Sure, yeah. Anybody can unmute. I think I have it set. You can unmute yourselves. Let me see. Allow participants. Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, go ahead. Speak up.
Hey, Hexi, I want to hear about the, can you explain the NFT project, that idea? Again, I've kind of looked a little bit at it on Twitter. It looks like a really good idea, you know, that it gives some utility to NFTs, plus, you know, teaming up with the HOA crowd. I mean, they're doing crazy good stuff too. So can you explain that? I know it was going to launch today, but you decided to wait because of the Ledger fiasco, I guess. But yeah, can you go over that for us?
Yeah, sure. So the NFT project is we have there's two people called Crypto Krill and Crypto Biscuit, and they're kind of like the creative design team behind Poor Pleb and the branding that we have there. The NFTs they're doing, I'll be honest with you, it's not actually my project. It's sort of affiliated with obviously Poor Pleb and stuff, but it's their project. And the way that they're doing it is they are, as you said, they're teaming up with the HOA guys, and they're doing kind of like a cross mint. So it's a collaboration of Poor Pleb art with HOA influence. So it's very cool. I did recommend them. I messaged them earlier with all that shit that's happening with Ledger and the permissions on apps causing people to have their wallets drained. It's probably not the best time to launch it, so we're better off delaying. But most of the information regarding that is, I believe there's four sets that you can get, and you have to get a unique design from each set, and then you can unlock like a fifth mystery element. So yeah, it's just a bit of fun, really. And if you had 7.5 million PP and I think it was 1,000 HOA in your wallet, then you will be eligible for a free mint. But I think the snapshot for that may have already been taken yesterday now because they were planning to launch it today. So yeah, it's just a bit of a fun NFT project. Obviously, we all know that the Poor Pleb art is fantastic. So we've been getting asked for a long time to do NFTs now. So yeah, I'm really glad that these guys over are kind of finally doing them. And I think there'll be quite a good collection. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of NFTs myself. I think they're a bit stupid, but the artwork that we've got is really cool. So these may well do quite well. Yeah, I hope that kind of answered it for you. I don't know a hell of a lot about it all, to be honest. I don't really deal with NFTs too much myself. So
Awesome, thanks.
no worries.
How about new pool on 9inch? Is there any new pools that you guys got your eyes on, or other tokens that you are considering adding to the family over there at 9inch?
Yeah, so there's a few Ethereum tokens that are going to get listed in the next couple of days, and we're probably going to be doing a farm for Pepe, and there are a couple of others. I don't really like giving I don't really like telling people we're definitely going to do stuff, but I'm pretty sure we're definitely going to be doing a Pepe farm because things seem to be pumping on that side again now, which is cool because a lot of these coins like Pepe, they have a giant pump and then they just die. But it looks like they're coming back around, so that'll do quite well. We've got our eyes on a few there. There's a couple of farms on the pulse chain side that we're looking to do as well. But the next step really is we're going to introduce the voting. So you'll be able to use the 9inch token as a DAO to vote for what pairs you think should get the BBC inflation. So that'll be coming around within, I'd like to say within 2 weeks, we'll have the voting up and running so people can do it. And then obviously when the voting happens, it's kind of out of our hands. It's up to the public to decide what gets the BBC inflation. So that'll be interesting to see kind of who's left, because since we launched, we have had a giant price dip, which is good opportunity for anyone who believes in the project long term, where they can get in and they can start considering building up as a position, because it's a lot cheaper to get in now than it was a few weeks ago. So I think when we launch the voting, a lot of new people are going to come in and they're going to try and get their tickers up in the votes. I know a lot of founders, for example, there's a coin called RBC. That founder did a considerable sacrifice for 9inch, and he's basically messaging me every day now, like when voting, because they want to get their token up and with a farm and stuff. So I think that'll create a lot of competition, and hopefully the guys who sold can cry later when the price goes up, because all the token founders want to get a farm for their project on there. So the next step will be, we might add one or two, but then the next step will be the voting page, which we'll have up hopefully within the next week or two.
Hey, can you talk about the, I know the DEX had some security issues right after launch, or maybe it was the website. I'm not sure about the details, but can you talk about the details of the security issues you had and what has, I know they were fixed, but can you go into detail about why we should all feel secure in the fixes and so forth?
Yeah, sure. So just to be clear, it was never a security issue. Our website got DDoS attacked, so everything was still working perfectly as normal and as it should have done. It's just that the website went down because basically I think what happened is there was someone's gone out and spent a lot of money trying to bring us down. One way or another, and we've had like FUD campaigns on Twitter and things like that. Like there's someone out there who has spent a considerable amount of time, effort, and money to try and bring us down. But they successfully managed to bring the website down for about 3 or 4 hours, and then it went down again the next day for about 20 minutes. But other than that, we've never had any issue. Like the product is working flawlessly. Other than that, so we like to proudly boast that we have 99.99% uptime.
That's awesome. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just a bit like, obviously it sucks that happened, and a lot of people did get a little bit worried and basically shit themselves because they thought that we'd rugged or something. That was never the case. the devs were on it straight away, and we got a fix out straight away. We've upgraded the DDoS protection, everything like that. We shouldn't ever have any issues like that ever again. But the fact is that the product was running fine. There was still trading going through because people were using Etherscan to run the code instead. We're also in the process of getting some backup front ends up as well. So should that ever happen again, I'm pretty confident it won't. But if it did, there will be backups. And also the code is open source to a degree as well, so people can create their own front ends. I wouldn't personally recommend using a different front end though, unless we've verified and we endorse it, because there are a lot of scammers out there who will create fake front ends for stuff so that they can steal all your money. So yeah, just use 9inch.io. Or if there ever is an issue, just look at our Twitter, because our Twitter, we put up a backup front end straight away when we did have that issue. But yeah, for the past, I don't know, it was like 3 days after we launched that this happened, and then since then we haven't had any other further issues. So yeah, everything's working great.
Okay, anybody else? You can unmute if you have a question.
I've
Nate,
got a question.
Go ahead, please.
I just remembered I know somebody on Ethereum that has like $80 million worth of tokens, and it's like it's kind of like a meme token. So like, what would a whale get by providing liquidity on 9inch? Like, what are some advantages that might happen for somebody like that?
Yeah, so if there's no liquidity pool set up for a token at the moment, then by going in and providing liquidity, you would have 100% of that pool. So that means that you would get all of the potential fees that come through. So we have lower fees than Uniswap. We're also gas optimized. So to run a trade on 9inch is between 20 and 30% cheaper than it would be to run on Uniswap, and the fees are lower. So in time, when we start getting picked up by aggregators, we are in the process of speaking to 1inch, Matcha, and CowSwap at the moment. We're not quite meeting some criteria that they have in terms of liquidity. So as soon as our liquidity is up, then it's quite likely that all three of those will be using us to aggregate through. So if there's adequate liquidity there for a pair, let's say you're a guy and you want to invest in, I don't know, let's call it like Pepe 4.0 or whatever. If you go to Matcha or 1inch or CowSwap and look for that token on there, it's just going to route it via the cheapest, best liquidity source for you. So if our fees are lower and the gas is cheaper, it's quite likely that they're going to choose us. So that means if you're a liquidity provider and we're running through aggregators and stuff, then you're going to get more fees and you're going to have a larger percentage of the pool. There's also arbitrage opportunities there as well for bots. So one of the main ways that we're getting so much volume at the moment is certainly on the pulse chain side, it's easier to judge on there because we have more liquidity and we have more people using us. A lot of the trading that's going on 9inch is just arbitrage between PulseX, 9inch. There's a few other dexes as well, like Fox and Famous and all of these things, SparkSwap, whatever. So it's all just price getting adjusted to suit. So on the Ethereum side is a little bit of a slow burner, but when we've got the foundation there, we are going to find that there's a lot of arbitrage opportunities going back and forth. Of course, 9inch benefits from buy and burn as well. So the more volume we have going through the DEX, the more of the token supply is going to get bought up and burn forever. The 9inch token is deflationary because of that. The BBC token is obviously inflationary. But if you were a whale in a token and you set up an LP pool, and then you own some 9inch tokens as well, you can vote for that LP pool to get a farm. So you'll be able to make passive income on the liquidity. So not only will you be getting the fees for providing liquidity, you will also get passive income for farming as well, if you're able to vote. Now, if you're a mega whale and you've got $80 million worth of tokens, there's nothing stopping you going buying up a ton of the 9inch supply and then voting for your pair that you want to provide liquidity for to get a farm. And you'd be able to get a pretty considerable one if you've got that much kind of capital behind you.
Well, this is a foundation. In fact, it's a longevity foundation that was blessed by Vitalik with like 80 million, well, today's value of $80 million worth of Elon token,
Oh
which
gosh, right.
stands for Doge Elon Mars, which is actually a giant community. I was surprised. I was just talking to people in Austin, Texas when I was visiting friends there, and they were in Elon. That was the one crypto they were in. I'm like,
That's crazy.
you're just a random person. You're in Elon. And yeah, I was actually the one who convinced the Methuselah Foundation, which is a longevity foundation that Vitalik contributes to. I convinced them to take custody of their own coins before Pulse Chain launched. So they got the Pulse copy now. And
Oh, okay.
I haven't followed up with them much, but it's like, yeah, why wouldn't I recommend 9inch to them? Because you guys are on Ethereum and you're on Pulse Chain. You have a DEX on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
have advantages for people providing liquidity on your platform. You're the first meme DEX ever to exist. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool that they scheduled us both on the same night, because I think you and I are both like fans of each other. And so yeah,
Absolutely.
it's really exciting. I was just in a longevity meeting earlier today, which is what made me think of what a good pair it would be between the Methuselah Foundation and 9inch. And I really think it's projects like yours that are going to create not a bridge where you bridge your tokens, but a bridge where you bridge your community between Pulse Chain and Ethereum, because you're one of the products that exists on both sides. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, with those guys, they could, in theory, bridge over a percentage of those tokens and then create a pair with the, the Ethereum side and the Pulse Chain side on Pulse Chain. So there would be some arbitrage opportunities there for sure. And actually, it might be cheaper to trade over on the Pulse Chain side with the E version or the Ethereum version of that token, and then just bridge it back over as and when you want to. This is something we're looking at in the future as well. I think it would be great if we had like a strong base of Ethereum tokens over on Pulse Chain, so people can trade in and out of those tokens without getting destroyed on fees. I did a trade on Ethereum the other day and it cost me like $65.
Yeah.
What the hell is that all about? That sucks, right? But on Pulse Chain, it would cost you a penny to do that. So, these kind of things are all they're all in the works for the future, definitely. So I would strongly recommend that they come and provide liquidity on 9inch for that token. That would be amazing, actually, to do that. And in fact, Elon was a token that we gave Poor Pleb to for free. So if you had less than $1,000 of Elon in your wallet, obviously those guys, $80 million, they're not going to get it. But
but their fans are gonna love that. They have many holders. It's over 300,000. It might be 1 million.
I think they do have. When we did the snapshot, it was. I might be getting this wrong, but I think it was like 700,000 or 800,000 holders. Crazy number. That's a lot of people, man. And that doesn't even include the people that might have it on exchanges as well. So yeah, their holder count is going to be huge. I haven't actually heard anything from them. I would be curious to have a look at the chart, because I did buy some of that a while ago, but I haven't even looked. So God knows what the price is. I mean, the price is probably down at the moment with bear market stuff, but things have been pumping lately. So maybe they're doing well. I would definitely recommend that they provide some liquidity over on 9inch. That would be a great idea.
The Poor Pleb that's been distributed to the Elon community and many other communities, was that an airdrop or a free claim?
That would have been a free claim.
Okay.
So
they would have had to know about it. Yeah,
they would have had to know. I mean, there were a few people that claimed. So we gave it to Elon, Shiba Inu, God, I can't even remember all of them. Cum Rocket. It was just like, excuse me, all the like prominent meme coins at the time. We gave it to. So up to 3 million people could have claimed. I think to be fair, I think we only got like 7,000 people claim, which is still pretty cool. And my dream, my vision for that was that we gave it to the little guy that needed it the most, So at the time, it was probably only worth like 10 or 20 bucks when they claimed it. It's probably worth a little less now. But my dream is that free claim would be worth a few $1,000s one day. So like the guys who really needed the extra money in the space, if they held, then in theory, if the price goes up, then that would have been like a nice airdrop for them. A lot of people get airdrops and just dump them. So we really just wanted to. I'm really hoping that the Poor Pleb price goes up, and I think actually, Poor Pleb is probably the best meme coin to come out of the pulse chain space. It's got the best artwork, it's got the best narrative. It's funny, and a lot of people can relate to it. Certainly in the bear market, when I know guys that put like an unholy amount of money into certain stuff, and they're sitting on like a couple $1,000s now, and that really does suck. But we all know that it swings up and swings down, so everyone feels like a Poor Pleb at the moment, unless they're just in, they've just been DCA in the bottom and then waiting for the price to go up. Then great, but a lot of people aren't that patient, unfortunately. So I'm really hoping that the Poor Pleb price absolutely smashes it in the future, and we can solidify ourselves as the best meme coin ever created, and we gave the money to the people that needed it the most. So yeah, I think we're onto a winner overall. It's just I think the issue that we had was that for both projects that we've done, the sacrifice raised way too much money. Actually, we were like a victim of our own success there, because I didn't mention earlier. So the Poor Pleb sacrifice did 1.4 million, but the 9-inch sacrifice did 16.5 million, which is like for literally like a dick joke Dex. And like I never thought it would do like that well. But because of that, people obviously put money in. They're supposed to have no expectations, but when the price goes up, they will sell. And we did at one point when 9-inch came out, the people who sacrificed, if they were in the Magic Carpet Ride pool, they would have been up about 7 or 8x. And that's quite a big gain for something that only took a month or so to come after. Oh no, sorry, it was like 2 months. So making a 7 or an 8x in the bear market when everything around you is dying, it's pretty damn good. So that's probably why our price is down at the moment. But I would just consider that as an opportunity. Like anyone who believes in the product longer term will understand that buy and burn function is going to be disgusting in the future, and our supply is going to get diminished, and the price is ideally going to go up over time, just based upon the volume and the arbitrage opportunities and things like that come. So yeah, I really think we're onto like a gigantic winner here. It's just going to take some time to shake out the weak hands, but I think we already kind of have done that now. So I would say this is a great opportunity for anyone to want to get in. If you like the idea of Pulse X, which I think we all do, I think we all understand that buy and burn feature is absolutely genius. Then you're probably going to like 9-inch even more, because we're a smaller foundation to start from. And that means there's more opportunity. So Pulse X raised $1 billion on its sacrifice. So in order for that price to go up, it's going to take a lot of buy pressure. And historically, the second largest dexes on chains outperform the first anyway. It almost always happens. If you look at some charts from, I think like Buy Swap was one of them. I think that was on BNB. That absolutely destroyed the BNB, the cake chart overall, which is amazing, because no one even knows what Buy Swap is. When one of the co-founders, K9, told me these statistics, I was like, yeah, that's crazy, man. Like I don't know any of these projects, but they've all outperformed the core token. So a lot of it comes down to market cap being way lower. Our supply is like 3% of the Pulse X supply. So if you're confident in Pulse X, this is quite a nice hedge against that as well, because if we're successful, then we could go up a multitude of X's higher than Pulse X. So I suppose it's more risky going for a project like ours, but if it works, then the gains will be multiplied a lot, hopefully, maybe, possibly.
I have a theory about why people buy meme coins, and I'd love to hear your feedback on it.
Go for it.
So what I've noticed is it seems like there was this Occupy Wall Street movement going on in America around the time when, around the world, around the time when Bitcoin was created, the 2008 financial crisis, all that good kind of stuff. People are probably very familiar with that. And I really think that the Occupy Wall Street movement ended up turning into the meme coin movement and the the different stocks like GameStop and stuff. Some people might have seen the movie Dumb Money, but
Oh yeah,
there's this anger that everyday people have, and it's like cathartic for them to put all of their money into a picture of a dog, because dogs are like the most loved pet in the world. I guess. I mean, like, you can love whatever pet you want, but dog is the number one pet. And so that became a symbol for people of that money is a meme. And to piss off the bankers, they made Dogecoin really, really successful. And of course, Elon Musk did that and stuff. So yeah, I'm curious, you're the founder of the first meme DEX ever in existence. What do you think of this theory?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is like basically a giant fuck you to the establishment, isn't it? When you go in on like I'm going all in on like Cumrocket or Dogecoin or something like that. It is just a giant fuck you. But Elon summed it up really nicely in one tweet where he basically said, like, wouldn't it be hilarious if Dogecoin became like the world reserve currency? And it's just picture of dog, and it's fantastic, and it is a funny idea that like we could have a currency like Doge or PP or Cumrocket or Shiba Inu or something be like some kind of weird reserve currency. So I definitely on like, I'd say like I 50%, 50 to 60%, like 100% agree with you there. I think the other side of why meme coins are so popular though is because you can just make like such crazy gains in such a short space of time. Everyone knows someone who got rich off Doge or Shiba or something like this, and even with Bitcoin, you can make like crazy gains. If you'd have bought Bitcoin at the low, you'd be up like 3x at the moment, which is fantastic because in legacy finance, a 4-5% overall gain in a year is considered quite good. But a 3x is like unheard of. You don't even get that. So with meme coins, because like everyone knows Bitcoin can go up a lot, but meme coins and especially new coins, if you get in early, you can make like millions of dollars from like a couple $1,000 investment. So it's almost like a lottery ticket, and or it's like a giant gamble. I mean, a lot of these things get rugged. This is the dark side of meme coins, is like a lot of them come out, they do well for a bit, and then they just get rugged because quite often the guys who set them up have never really had any genuine cash, any genuine life-changing money. So you can go and set a meme coin up for like say $1,000 on Ethereum, maybe like $2,000 on Ethereum, and when you put your liquidity in, let's say you launch it with 1 Ethereum worth of liquidity, that price goes up 1,000x. Guess what? You've now got $1,000 1,000 Ethereum in your liquidity pool, and that's where the temptation comes in for them to rug these projects, because they can just remove that liquidity and then they get all of the additional Ethereum. So they just earn 999 Ethereum because their price went up. And obviously that's a life-changing amount of money for anyone who's not experienced any real wealth before. So that is sort of the dark side. But I think it's definitely like half and half. So like half of it is, yeah, fuck you government, I'm not participating in fiat anymore, I'm buying picture of dog. And then half of it is and then half of it is like they're there for the mad gains. Like they want to go and invest $20 in a project and become a millionaire off it. Now we all know that is very, very unlikely, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. People have done it. There was a guy put, I think it was $1,000 into Shiba Inu at the low and forgot that he had it. Shiba Inu pumped like crazy. That $1,000, or was it maybe it was $2,000? I can't remember the exact math. But the $1,000 or so that he put in at the top was worth $1.5 billion. And that's just like, whoa, you can't. I mean, that guy like didn't sell through some crazy dips. Whoever that is, he's got the biggest diamond hands I've ever heard of in my life. But he literally put $1,000 in, and at one point it was worth $1.5 billion because he just didn't sell. He just held through everything. I have a feeling the guy forgot that he had it. And then he heard about it getting listed on an exchange, was like, oh, I think I bought some of that. Went and had a look, and oh shit, it's worth $1 billion. Like, how did this happen, you know? But that's how most people in crypto did get rich, is they bought it and forgot they had it, and they checked back a few years later. It's like, oh damn, that that $500 I put in is worth like 40 grand now, like crazy, you know. So a lot of the meme coin space is just people kind of like gambling. Really, it's a bit of a gambling thing. I don't really personally promote that side of things. Like, I don't think people should go in heavy on meme coins. I've been saying this forever. If you want to have a little play on a meme coin, use like 1% of your portfolio or something. Like, you really don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go all in on a meme coin to potentially get gains out of it. It's way riskier, but the gains are way higher if it does work out. So if you've got a portfolio of, let's say, like $10,000 and you're thinking about going in on meme coins, I think throwing $100-200 at a meme coin is totally legitimately fine. And if that works out, it could end up being like the biggest player in your portfolio, but you can spread your bets out a little bit. I think what the issue with a lot of guys do is they go in too heavy on these things and then cry when it gets rugged. And it's like, well, honestly, if you throw money into Rocket, you kind of deserve to lose all your money. Really, because it's a bit of a stupid financial decision, but at the same time, they're the guys that are making the most money. And did like last cycle, Shiba Inu was the biggest performing asset out of everything. You know, Hex did incredibly well. Hex did almost I think it was like 11,000x. Shiba Inu did like 16,000x. So. And that's just picture of dog. It's great, but you can never know because there's like a million picture of dog coins out there. Like, how are you going to pick the right one? You know, it's almost impossible. So spreading a few bets out here and there is good. But that's why we came up with the idea for 9inch, was to monetize that. Like, we know people are going to gamble on these things anyway. We can't stop people from doing that. Let's give them a platform and then let our holders benefit from the volume that is in meme coins. Like, meme coins have the most volume on chain out of everything. Obviously you can't judge what the centralized exchange volume is looking like so easily. You can if you go on the exchange and have a look, but the majority of on-chain volume is coins like Shiba Inu. So we found a way to basically monetize that volume and benefit our holders and our believers. And then the idea that people can then vote for free money for their pairs is also another cool feature. So it's just like buy pressure for the 9inch token. I think over time, I'm very confident that 9inch is going to be like one of the kind of household names within crypto in a year or two. You can't ignore the memes, man. Like, everyone wants a 9inch, right? Like, if you, it's just beautiful. So I know I'm kind of like deviating from your question here, but I think that's where
that's great.
It's 50-50. Like, half is, yeah, fuck you government, and then half is, I want to get rich off my $20. So yeah,
that sounds exactly what crypto is all about. And you know, you're kind of pissing me off a little bit because you're making me like super bullish on 9inch, and I'm an RH maximalish, you know. So but yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good to me. To do a,
I mean, I'm like maximalish on I'm pretty maximalish on Richard Hart stuff as well. I mean, it sucks with this SEC stuff that's happening at the moment, and you know, that's obviously put a dampener on the thing. But I have got a theory about what's going to happen now. So obviously you were around during the last bull run where Hex was pumping. It almost felt like when Bitcoin went up, Hex went down, and then when Hex went up, Bitcoin went down. And it was like people were it was almost like people were rotating from one to the other, and then when that goes up, they rotate back over, and vice versa. Obviously Bitcoin pumped quite hard recently, and when Bitcoin is coming out of a bear market, if you look at the previous cycles, it always has like a pump that gets it close to its all-time high, and then it has a mega capitulation after. The last cycle, it went from, I think it got back up to like 17k, and then it dumped right back down to 3 again, or maybe 4. I can't remember the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it happened within like a week. So right now
we've 6. Yeah. That there was that Chinese scam that was causing that. But the plus token Ponzi, that's what it was.
Yeah, don't they have like 1% of all the Bitcoin now?
Yeah, that's definitely in the CCP's hands now.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, yeah. So I think what's going to happen is now Bitcoin pumped back up to like 45K. I think it might go up a tiny bit more, but then it's going to have a mega dump. And that'll signal the end of the bear market, in my opinion. So I don't think we're quite out of the woods yet. I think we're going to have one more big dump just to kind of finish off the pattern, like what it did the last 2 or 3 times. So when Bitcoin dumps, if it dumps. Now, obviously, this isn't financial advice. I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. But this is what it looks like. On the fractals on the chart look very similar to last time. So I think Bitcoin is going to dump to somewhere within the sort of like 20 to 25K range, which people are saying that is a bit low. But I think if you look at previous cycles, that's kind of what it did. So I think Bitcoin dumps to like 20K. And I think a lot of that money rotates into Hex and Pulse Chain very similarly, because Hex always ran after the Bitcoin. Hex's all-time high came like, what was it, like 6 months after, or maybe a bit less than the Bitcoin one?
It's really interesting because Bitcoin had that double top that wasn't predicted and that wasn't characteristic normally. And so, yeah, Hex kind of peaked before and after.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so the fake, the Judas wick that Richard calls it, the Judas candle. That's funny, man. Gets everyone long again, and then it's just been like 2.5 years of death ever since. So yeah, this is my theory, is that Hex and Pulse Chain and everything hasn't really been doing particularly well on price lately. But Bitcoin and legacy crypto has been doing very well. So I think what happens is when all of the legacy crypto starts going down, I think we're in for a magic carpet ride again on Hex, Pulse Chain, and Pulse X. I think it would be great marketing for us to be going up while everything else around us is dying. That's what onboarded me into Hex in the first place. Is on the days where Bitcoin was red, I could see that Hex was green, and that was very sexy. So I think we're going to get an influx of more people coming, just because our prices look good while everything else is dying. And well, I don't know how much of this is hopium, because I have like large bags, and obviously we're all a little bit fear, uncertainty, and doubt at the minute with all this SEC stuff that's happening. But I do think that we're gonna climb through it, and we're gonna smash it. I mean, Pulse Chain, the Pulse token, I think that's going to be worth $1 one day, maybe in 2 cycles or something. But the Pulse token now is so cheap. So if you think that's going to, it's almost a 10,000x from here if we get to $1. And that's going to be absolutely life changing for a lot of people I know that are in this space already, as long as they can just hold on and not scare themselves off from their bags. Richard's clearly a clever guy and he knows what he's doing. So like all this, all him like avoiding getting served and all this like legal stuff that he's putting on his Twitter, he's obviously doing it for a reason. The guy knows what he's doing. He's probably got the best lawyers in the world looking after this for him. So although it's scary when you've got bags, I do think that it'll all work out in the end, and we're all going to be super fucking rich, which is going to be great.
I would rather everybody be scared at this point in the market, because I regularly consult with ChatGPT 4 and Grok AI, and they're both predicting $16,000 Ethereum coming up in in this next 24 to 25 cycle. So
I could see it.
You could do the math on what everything else is going to be worth.
Well, yeah, everything else is just a leverage position against those, right? So if Ethereum goes up to 60, so I was eyeing up with Ethereum anywhere sort of between like 12 and 20K, because to be fair, I think it might even get to like 20K, because that's what Bitcoin did, right? And it seems to be following quite closely the price points that Bitcoin was hitting previously. So yeah, it could get 16K. I mean, if you got 16K Ethereum, I mean, how much is Hex going to be worth? EHEX, because EHEX is like a leverage position against that. You could see EHEX getting to like $4 or $5 if everything all works out. And I mean, those numbers seem crazy, but it could happen, And I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. Like, I seen how fucking hard Hex pumped in the last cycle, and I could not believe it. Looking at that chart, it was just like green dildos just breaking through the roof. Like, I had to zoom out on my chart. Like, some days I'd leave it there, and then the price would disappear to the upside off the chart, and I'd have to like zoom back out to see it again. I can't wait for those days, man. Like, I just can't wait, man. So we've been for a really, really horrible bear market in the Richard Hart ecosystem. It's been, so we had like glorious upside, and then we had like the worst downside ever. So hopefully our patience pays off, and we can all kill it again in the next one. But my one thing is though, is that I have a feeling that people are going to try and front run prices a little bit this time. So yeah, I would say if you're looking to exit in the bull run next cycle, DCA out. don't just wait for the price to get to a point and then sell everything. Just DCA out and then be ready for the dip. Yeah, everything, man. Like, if I see Ethereum getting to like say $8,000, I'm gonna start selling. I don't care if it goes to 20. I'm gonna start selling a bit at about 8, and just slowly, I don't know, 5% a week for like 20 weeks. Doesn't really matter how your plan is, but just have a strategy for like what what kind of price points are you going to be comfortable starting to take money out, and then you can't lose, right? If you DCA out, you can't really lose because you're locking in profit. So yeah, anyway.
The last 2 cycles, Ethereum peaked within 1 to 2 weeks after Bitcoin, and Bitcoin peaked when the CME futures launched on the day, and also on the day when Coinbase launched their $100 billion coin offering. So, yeah, I mean, like, hindsight is 2020, but I really like your idea of dollar cost averaging out, because that's the only way to make sure that everybody else doesn't front run you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I mean, in fairness, if we look back at that, we were like heavily involved with like the Hex ecosystem during the top, when the actual top was in. I think we had some signs, but we all ignored them.
Right.
I mean, the Freddie quotes video was literally the top, and he's dancing on a coffin of Eric Wall and all that shit, and it's like it's kind of funny to look back at now. It was very, very obvious that was the top, and I think even Richard was trying to show us that as well without actually telling us. With his outrage marketing and things like that.
Yes.
Like, I think, yeah, he was signaling to us that, hey,
People
guys,
don't understand that. Yeah, definitely. You're right.
Yeah. So, but I'm certainly like, when Richard comes out next cycle and says the top is in for Bitcoin, yeah, I'm going to be selling everything. So I'm not fucking around this time. God, no. My unfortunately for me, I got in a little bit late, right? So I got in like halfway through the bull run. So at that point, I hadn't really made enough gains to like really want to sell everything, So, I don't know, man.
Do you think Richard's going to speak at the conference?
I hope so, because we're sponsoring it.
Dude, I'm really pumped about the possibility, but I don't know for sure yet. So, it's like I'm in the same camp as everybody else. I see the pattern that he's spoken every year in the past, and I'm hoping that he drops a video this year.
Yeah, I think I have a feeling he probably will, but as you say, with all of this stuff that's going on in the background, maybe he won't. But the thing is, everyone knows he's there for the right reason, right? Obviously, he's just protecting him. He's protecting himself and his brand and everything as much as he can at the moment. But Richard he's an enigma, and he does care about his community a lot. So anything he can do to sort of incite some confidence within us, I think he'll do it, as long as it's within his power to do so. So,
but he hasn't been, because the theory goes that, and nobody knows this, but the theory goes that he's letting the weak hands sell by not giving too much confidence right now.
Yeah, and to be honest, if that is what he's doing, he's done a very good job, and it was a galaxy brain play. You know,
We'll
all that
see. I
outrage
mean-
marketing last year was it was really funny at first, but by the end I was a bit like, oh come on, man, I'm trying to onboard people here, and then they take one look at you and they're like, I ain't fucking buying that shit.
Well,
But,
yeah. People didn't buy up the top higher than it went, and now we're gonna get to see. I mean, this isn't gonna be a mystery. In a year or two, we're gonna know when Ethereum's at $16,000. If Hex is not at 50 cents or $1, then we're gonna know that it didn't work out like we predicted.
Well, the thing is, I mean, even if from the price that Hex is at now, say Ethereum Hex, even if it gets to half the all-time high, that's a crazy game from here. Like
From here, yeah.
From here, it's huge, man. It's like 100x nearly, right? That's a lot of gains, man. But how you gonna be sad about making only 100x? Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, hey, we were at 10 cents before the fork, so anything's
Yeah, we were. That's right.
Like,
Yeah, that's
that was
right,
this
man.
year. That was this year. And Pulse Chain did a 3.5x off the bat. Pulse X did a 1.5x. So if you wanted to sell on a 3x, you already had your chance right off the bat. The people who are in now are, just shell shocked from being stronger believers and thinking that it's going to go up more than 3.5x. So we're going to see
Yeah, it's
who's
just
right
it's
and
the
who's
greed.
wrong.
People get greedy, man. Like I know a good friend of mine. He actually put $500 in, or £500, so about $600 into Hex at the very bottom. He got very lucky with his timing. He heard about it about a month after it came out, went and put his $600 in. His bag was worth like 2.2 million at the top. But even him, he was greedy. I mean, that should have been a sign like, yo, I should sell some of this. Like, that's a lot of money that I've got there, right? But he was greedy, and he, as much as logic's telling you, okay, that's a lot of money, I should really sell some here. He couldn't help but look at that chart and think, well, if it keeps going, I'm going to be worth, 20 million or 100 million if I just hold. So that's why you've got to have like personal. Everyone's strategy is going to be different, right? But
Yeah.
it's all about your risk profile. But I mean, damn, if you put $600 in, you got over 2 million. I think you should sell at least half of that, right? Like,
At least
get
get your
million out.
$600 back.
Yeah, I think in the end, the guy did cash out like $60,000, which is great because from his $600, that's still a good amount of money. It's not like he lost or anything, but the fact is he could have had, $1 million out easily without much slippage or anything like that. He could have easily took that out, but he didn't because the greed got him. And now the poor guy's like broke. He doesn't feel like he's doing that well anymore. He's got like a bit of money in his account and he's been DCAing back in, but he doesn't really, like he got that. There's that thing about like when you see a lot of people are retiring and stuff like that, that kind of is a top signal as well, because then that means that these guys, these prominent figures are like net sellers now, right? They're not pumping money in anymore. So it's all about getting new people in. So I know it's not a Ponzi, but it's kind of a Ponzi but the whole of crypto is like this. You always need new people coming in and buying your bags off you. So even when the price goes up, you need that steady inflow of new people coming in to constantly buy the bags.
That's describing a market, because in the car market, you need new buyers to buy your car. But a Ponzi, it's when there's fraud occurring where you're not telling the truth about where the yield comes from. Charles Ponzi himself, there's a good YouTube documentary about him. He was lying about where the yield came from, and he said that he had a stamp arbitrage. So he, which did exist at the time, although when they went back and looked at it, he only put like $10 in to the stamp arbitrage business. But he collected millions of dollars. He was in Boston, and people would line up, and he would pay them out with the old people's money, or with other people's money. And they would turn around and get back in line, 100-person line, and go back in and give even more money, because they, this is part of human psychology, is that if you're winning, you think you're going to keep winning. And because he was actually paying people out, people would take their payout and deposit more than they had initially put in.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's right.
and
It's like the whole send me one, I'll send you two back, like the common scam in crypto. Like, oh, we
yeah,
have
I'm still waiting.
Bitcoin to give. You know,
Yeah,
it's very common that people fall for this. And when you look at it abstractly from like a distance, it's clearly a scam. But when you're in there, it feels good, right? That, oh, I just made some money, I'm going to do this again, I'm going to do it again. And everything always works until it doesn't. That's one of my favorite lines to say, is like, it works until it doesn't. There's a few projects out there at the moment which are running on similar, I don't want to name the name, but I think you'll know the one that I'm talking about,
yeah,
that's kind of came about recently. And it's like, it is a Ponzi. It is a proper Ponzi,
yes,
like
yes.
100%. But
People are
there's a
getting
thing
pulled
called
in.
Ponzi-nomics, right? Where they work for a while and people can make a ton of money out of it until they can't. And then at some point the bubble bursts, and then
Yes.
the guys that didn't take profit are left holding the bag. And this happens a lot. We've seen it hundreds of times in the last couple of years, you know. And I just generally stay away from like high risk stuff. Like I think the highest risk stuff that I'm in, I have like such a small percentage of my bag. Like even if it does fail, it doesn't really matter. You know, you can move on from it, because I don't overexpose myself to risk, like hella risky stuff. Things like that, it's something that I would maybe go and put like 1% of my portfolio in and see what happens. But even with that one particular that we both know about, I'm not touching it. Like I'll let people.
Same.
I'll laugh later when everyone, because inevitably we all know how this story is going to end.
Well,
But people, a lot of my friends are in, and I'm like, oh, guys, be careful, man.
It's paying out yield in a token that is not under its inflationary control. And so that's the difference between a Ponzi token and a Hex, is that you have to ask, where is the yield coming from? And in Hex, the yield is being paid in Hex, which is guaranteed by the smart contract. You don't have a middleman controlling the lever anywhere, and it's for the free market to decide. So when people are time locked, it's basically, it's like Bitcoin, where it inflates to pay for the security, except in Hex, instead of paying for block space, you're paying for incentivizing people to time lock so that they won't dump on your head. They won't dump on your head whenever you are holding your liquid coins. And so, yeah, it's a savings game, which is kind of unknown to people in the modern world, like where spending money is good because inflation is going to eat away your purchasing power. Well, people who understand gold and who understand store of value assets, you know, they like earning trustless yield, and that's where Hex is different. So
I honestly think that Hex is probably the most genius cryptocurrency ever invented, for that reason, that people will buy in and they will lock up for an average. I think the average now is what, like 7.5 years or maybe 8 years. That's crazy. That's so like bullish for price.
That's on Staker app. On the entire system as a whole, it's over 6 years.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, because how many people do you have to have that are going 15 years in order to get the average up from, you know, 1 or 2? So it's
because when
incredible.
I first like got into Hex, like I wasn't willing to commit to more than like 2 years. The first, or was it 3? I can't remember now. But the first stake that I did, I went and I think I bought like $800 worth of Hex, and I locked it up for 3 years. And like that was a big decision at the time. But then I was thinking like, well, I'm not planning to get rich off of crypto in like a year. That was never really the thing. Like my idea is just to like hold and try and get like a few years under my belt, and then hopefully, 2 or 3 years in, I can take some decent profit out. So the idea that guys like me would come in, buy it, and then immediately remove it from the market for like a fairly considerable amount of time. But then the more I got sucked in, the more I realized like I need to be, if I got in Bitcoin, I heard about Bitcoin at $1, and I always kick myself for this because I heard about it when it was like $1.20, but I just never thought that it was something that like the price would go up,
Man.
right? But I actually nearly bought some once. I nearly bought like 100 quid's worth because I wanted to buy some shit with it. So don't want to like you can imagine what people used to buy with Bitcoin back in the day, right? So I was gonna do it, but the transaction I was gonna do would have cost me $80 of Bitcoin, so I would have had $20 left over. That would mean I would have had about, I don't know, 15 to 20 Bitcoin that would have just been sat in a wallet doing nothing that I completely forgot about for like 14 years. And then the price of that at the end, it would have been like $500,000, from
Yeah.
like a $14 of change or something. It's crazy. I kick myself so hard for that because I knew about it so early, and I just didn't think it was something that would go up in value. I never looked at it as an investment or anything. But damn, if I could go back now, I'd be putting everything in Bitcoin, man, and just locking it away for like a long time and forgetting all about it. But the fact is, though, is that with Bitcoin, the S curve's in. You aren't going to see Bitcoin reaching crazy highs anymore unless some mad world event happens where they do make it world reserve currency. In that case, then yeah, maybe it does go to like $1 million a coin. I can't see it though, because Bitcoin is such old tech. It hasn't got the capacity to be the currency of the world. But something like I think Ethereum really changed the outlook, because Ethereum being an EVM chain, you can build stuff on top of it. Now, Ethereum is an absolutely genius little bit of kit there. So like all these other EVM chains like Pulse Chain or like Phantom or whatever, one of them is going to end up being the network in which everything is running on later. But the problem is that obviously Ethereum is just way too expensive. Like you can't settle on Ethereum anymore. It's, like I said earlier, $65-$80 to do a transaction. That's not cool, man. Like you can't function on that. But if the capacity is higher and the fees are lower and stuff like that, then it's great, man. It's great. And at some point in the future, I do think when we move to this like cashless society that the powers that be want us to be, it's going to have to be some kind of an Ethereum based chain that does it. I don't know which one that will be. But it doesn't. The thing is, right now we're just here for money, right? Like we're here for the gains. So if you know that it's likely that it's an EVM chain, then hedging your bets on a couple of them is probably quite a good way to go about it. Pulse Chain's definitely like up there in the top like 3 or 4 potential ones that it could be. So yeah, I'm very bullish on crypto in general actually now, and I think this next cycle that we get might well be like the last sort of super cycle. Because people always talk about this super cycle thing. They don't understand that we've already had super cycles. Like every cycle that we've had has been a super cycle. When you're seeing coins going from like like Shiba Inu going up 14,000x, how can you say that isn't a super cycle? For some coins at least. So
Because we're early.
Well, yeah, we're early. That's such a meme. It's only 15 years old. We're early.
Could be.
Yeah, it could, to be fair. But the reason that I think that the next cycle that we get is going to be like the last big one is because it's all getting centralized now, right? So like the powers that be in the world that want us to eat bugs and fucking never own anything and all of that stuff, like they're not going to allow us to keep making money like this. They're gonna stop it some way somehow. But I don't think they're going to do it before this cycle's over. So I think everyone's got an opportunity in this next cycle to make like a hell of a lot of money. And then you might not get that chance again on the one after. You might still get gains, but you're probably not going to get crazy mad gains like you will be able to get now. Every cycle that goes by, the gains get a little bit less. And that's just S-curve adoption through and through. So basically, long story short from that like 20 minutes of me just ranting on there is don't buy Bitcoin, maybe don't even buy Ethereum, but buy EVM chains, buy things that have got product market fit. Like Hex is a beautiful example of like a product market fit. Like delaying gratification, monetizing time and things like that. These are all things that are like fantastic to move forward into. But yeah, don't buy Bitcoin, guys. You're not going to make any money.
Hey, I mean, it's better than stocks.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, definitely don't buy stocks. God.
Hey guys, great conversation. I've got a question about, first of all, man, the whole 9-inch ethos, I love it. You know, it embodies, you know, stuff that I think people like me are looking for. Fun, number one. You know, when 9-inch started getting talked about, the whole idea of the concept of meme coins, I think what people value in meme coins is the same thing that we value in our community, you know, in Hex, and that's the community, you know. And
Hell
so
yeah.
yes, and I think that so my question, kind of a two-part question, what you guys think about the idea that when I'm looking at the ecosystem, and now knowing what I know now after, you know, hanging around crypto for 3 years and being in it for 2.5 of those years, I guess, is that, you know, your coins that pop off big are the things that start small, right? So your low liquidity, low volume, smaller communities that grow, and then the gains are exponentially greater than the bigger communities or the bigger tokens that it takes so much more economic energy to move the price. And so when I'm looking at the pulse chain ecosystem, I'm seeing lots and lots of these sub communities pop up. And again, the people enjoy the camaraderie in the community. A lot of times they're built around, you know, a project that is lighthearted, fun. Again, in a lot of ways, I like what my friend Sami says when he says, you know, crypto is just Pokemon cards for grown-ups, you know, and man,
Yeah.
that is so true. And so I'm looking at the ecosystem and I'm thinking, you know, because I've been feeling, I've got some pretty good bags of Pulse Chain and Pulse X. And now I'm thinking, man, I think there's going to be some stuff that outperforms Pulse Chain and Pulse X because they're smaller communities that are also going to grow as we get retail buyers in. You know, when we start getting green candles and all the plebs come in, that they're going to spread their money around too, and it's not just going to go to Pulse Chain and Pulse X. They're going to want the same thing we were looking for when we found Hex, when we found Poor Pleb, when we found Randy Hilarski. You know what I'm saying? So your thoughts on that idea that we might be should be looking at these smaller sub communities where there's a lot of trust. You know, I mean, again, the one that I'm real familiar with is the HOA gang or the Ahonits, the UpX community. You know, these communities that there's an enormous, like with the Haunted strategy, with the benevolent wallet idea, man, people that are investing in that token, even though, yes, we're working in this trustless environment when we're talking about code, but there's a lot of trust that you have to have in people like Haunted when they're working out these the tokenomics and handling what's going into that system. So you know your ideas about that as a strategy moving forward, number one, and number two, man, it's really hard to keep up with everything that's popping up. So what are you guys seeing? What are some of the communities that you're seeing that you would trust, that you think, wow, that's a really good idea, or man, that's something I'm going to keep my eye on, or other meme coin communities that you see developing that we might not know about?
Yeah. I mean, well, here's the thing. You've summed that up really nicely there. So, we was talking earlier about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is like the core. Ethereum is like a leverage play on Bitcoin. And then it's sort of like the lower you go down the list, the more sort of leverage you're taking on against the core asset. So, for example, Pulse Chain, great project. We're all pretty confident it's going to do very well. There are going to be sub communities within Pulse Chain where we're all kind of connected because we're there from Pulse Chain originally. There are going to be things on Pulse Chain that outperform Pulse Chain for sure. The issue is unfortunately you have to put some faith in to certain people or communities that they're not going to do bad by the project. So what I would when I'm looking at things like this, okay, I know people think sacrifices are bad, but let me give you an example as to why they're not bad. So I mentioned earlier, a guy could go start a meme coin on Ethereum with $1,000. He puts $1,000 of liquidity in, price goes up 1,000x, and now he's got 1,000 Ethereum that he can just take. Now that guy never got paid for his effort of doing anything. So at some point he's going to look at that number and be like, damn, that's a lot of money there. I need to take that, or I need to remove some of that, or whatever. And then that puts his entire community ecosystem at risk of just collapse because there's now not enough liquidity for all the sellers that there might be. So people bash on sacrifices, but I actually think sacrificing, if a project has raised a decent amount of money on a sacrifice, that is a huge incentive for them to not fuck it up, because in a way they've already kind of been I have to use clever language here. I'm going to use, like, let's say this is nothing to do with me, this is just another project, but in a way, if a project already received like a couple $1 million before they even launch, in theory they've kind of already been paid, right? So they've got no reason to rug it or fuck it up because they've already been paid. So it's like things like that are actually quite positive in general. That's why I trust Richard Hart with the Pulse Chain sacrifice, because, like, what did they have, like $1 billion come in? That's a considerable amount of money. I can't imagine that he would want to steal more, or well, steal is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Like, I can't imagine that he would want to try and like get more out of it than that. He's just going to do right by what he's got there. So when it comes to like picking new projects, I'm very skeptical of everything that comes along unless I know the founder personally or something like that. I'm very skeptical. I would also look at like distribution models and things like that. When it comes to picking people, ideally you want someone who's got like a proven track record, already done something in the past. Ideally, you don't want them to be a complete brokey. You want them to have like a bit of finance behind them, so they're not going to like rug or destroy the community. And also, you want to look at like the longevity of the project. Like, is this a meme if it's a meme coin, is it a meme that's still going to be a fruitful meme in a year or 2 years or something like that? Are people still going to care about it? What I have found about meme coin communities in general, a lot of the meme coins that popped up on Pulse Chain, I would like go in their Telegram and have a look, and it's like the same usual suspect community guys that kind of rotate, so that they're very, what I mean is that they're kind of fickle. So a new coin comes along, let's call it shitcoin a new one, they rotate into that, they make a bit of money there, and then the new shitcoin a new 2 comes out, and then they all rotate over to that, but they're playing player v player in a small sandbox, right? So there isn't actually that much to go out there. If I was looking at projects on Pulse Chain that potentially I would want to invest in, I want guys that are somehow reaching outside of that ecosystem a little bit, because in the Pulse Chain environment, there is only so many people here. We're all just sharing money out between us at the minute. You want projects that are actually going to onboard new people. So you mentioned HOA, Tangang. They actually have got like a good strategy for onboarding new people. They are getting new people in from outside of the environment, which is fantastic. You want to see that as much as you can. Another thing that I would strongly recommend people do before they go in on something is have a look at how the token was distributed at the beginning. So sometimes tokens are listed where they put all of the token up for liquidity for like a few dollars or like even $100 or something. That means that a guy could come along and buy up like so much of the supply so easily. And then what the problem with that is that those participants that were in super early, they've now got too much of the supply, so they can never actually sell. And so this whole thing of like rug risk and oh, the founder could pull the liquidity. Well, sometimes it ain't the founder that rugs the project. Sometimes a guy goes in, buys up loads of the supply early, and then that guy has the power to suppress price forever. So that's another thing I would also look at. So I can't personally recommend anything. I don't like endorsing anything that isn't my own because I know I can trust myself and my team, but I can't really trust anyone else. I trust Richard Hart, but other than that, I don't really endorse any other project on Pulse Chain, just because I don't want to say yes, this thing's good, and then it rugs, and then people think that I'm like endorsing scams or something like that. So for me personally, I can't. I mean, maybe Matty might know a couple projects he likes, but I like 9inch, I like Paw Pleb, I like Pulse Doge, I like Where Did the ETH Go, and I like everything Richard Hart related. And other than that, I kind of don't really dabble too much in anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, Richard Hart, his whole goal is making lots of crypto millionaires. So I like his stuff for its security and consistency, and the fact that it's addressing certain corners of the market that I think more people will be into in the future compared to how many people are in now. And that's like part of the fundamental analysis of what, if you're wrong, which you are the one who takes responsibility for your money. But yeah, if you're right, that more people are going to be in the future, then, you're going to do really well in crypto. And if you're wrong, then you're going to lose money. So that's pretty much how it works, supply and demand.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who it was who asked the question. Was it Raymond who asked it?
Ramon, yeah.
Ramon, yeah. So the other thing that you mentioned as well was about like less holders, more potential. That's definitely true. Because if you 2x the user base, I think is if you 2x the user base, you 10x the price or something crazy like that. It's like
4x,
exponentially
yeah.
goes up. So yeah, if you can pick something that's got like quite a low holder count already, and you know that there's potential there for much more people to get in, then yeah, you're gonna see mad price increase. When I got into Hex, there was something like shit, I can't remember now. I think it was like 20,000 stakers, maybe. And then by the end, was it like 100,000 stakers we've got now, Matty? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's 5x. So that's crazy. that's some crazy gains. And that's why even me coming into Hex a little late, I still managed to catch I didn't catch it because I didn't sell anything, but I still managed to experience I think it was like a 12x in price, something like that during that time, which is man, if you buy into something at 12x's in price within like a month of you buying it, that's just crazy, man. Like that's nuts. I didn't expect that at all. So yeah, looking at things with like low holder count. I mean, I think 9inch, for example, has only got about 6,000 or 7,000 holders, which we know that there's at least 100,000 people on Pulse Chain. So even the Pulse Chain side, that could go up exponentially. Ethereum is like, man, that we're like a drop of sand in an ocean there. Like Ethereum has got so much money on it. And like I mentioned earlier as well, is like if we get picked up by all these aggregators and there's decent liquidity, a lot of trades are going to be going via us anyway without people even realizing. They won't even know what 9-inch is. They'll be on Matcha or 1-inch or CowSwap. They don't even know where their trade goes. They just get the best deal. And because our fees are lower, the gas is optimized and things like that, chances are a lot of them are going to be using us. And then that means that our holders get to benefit from the buy and burn. So I think 9-inch is a great opportunity, and the meme coins we've built around 9-inch as well. So like your Poor Pleb and Where Did the ETH Go and Paul Stoge, they're good ones. Oh, and also as well, I should mention that periodically we are going to be airdropping random tokens to our holders. We already did that Where Did the ETH Go one. That one went up 750x from launch. It's dipped now, but it did go up 750x. So that just shows you the potential of the things we're working with here. And it's funny because like that Where Did the ETH Go was literally the best performing asset on Pulse Chain for like a while. So I think there are other things that have come along and done better than it now, but we just kind of like just proving that low liquidity, low hold account, man, you can really increase price on that massively if you've got the right secret sauce going on. So yeah.
Well, that's what's up, man. Yeah.
Who'd have thought that like meme coins are crazy, man. Like, you know, I it's funny because I'm literally like a founder of a meme coin dex and 2 meme coins now. And when I first got into crypto and started listening to Richard Hart stuff and things like that, I thought meme coins were the stupidest fucking thing in the world. I thought they were so dumb. I couldn't understand why anyone did it. But then I had to update my worldview because things like Shiba Inu came along and did 14,000x. Like, you can't ignore that. There's
Yeah.
obviously a demand there for it. People want. We've got a term here at 9-inch which is called financial entertainment. I really like the idea of people can invest but have fun and be entertained at the same time. And like you said, with the community and stuff like that, you like our 9-inch Telegram is just full of memes. It's just memes out the yin yang all day. Every time I go in there, I laugh because I see something funny. If you can keep people engaged via comedy, then and price going up, then you're really onto a winner, man. So memes are here to stay. Like, I had to update my worldview to encompass that, because without that, then you can't just ignore stuff because you don't think it's a good idea. Like, if 99% of people think it's gonna work and 99% of people are going and investing in that stuff, you can't be like the guy sat in the corner crying because you dropped your ice cream because you didn't invest in any of it, but like everyone else did. And, you know, by doing the right thing and only investing in blue chip stuff, and you go and make maybe you make a 20x or something like that, but then your derpy friend down the pub who like doesn't have a clue what he's doing went and bought shitcoin anew and is a multi-millionaire now because you thought you were too good to be invested in that stuff. It's like I say, you don't need to throw a lot of money in. Meme coins pop. When they pop, $100 could be worth a lot of money one day. So you don't need to go crazy on them, you know. Just little lottery tickets. Think, and also assume when you've gone in on a meme coin that the money's gone, and then just check it again later when the price goes up. If the price goes up, just assume it's gone. It's all about risk management and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, Jaren, how much time do I have left to present what I've got tonight?
As much as you need. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Matty. We've like completely eaten into. I'm sorry, man. I forgot.
Hey,
Forgot you
I really enjoy all the innovation that you're creating, and so yeah, I'm really glad that the conversation went this long.
Much respect, man. Yeah, I'll mute myself, and you go ahead and present your thing, mate.
Thanks, Hexi. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Hexi.
So the news just dropped today that the 4th annual Hex Conference that I've been putting on here since the early days of Hex, we're going to set the world record this year for the most YouTubers that are live on one screen at the same time. Hex already has the most YouTubers in crypto, and you might ask yourself why that is. And that's a really compelling question that should get you thinking about Hex if you're not already into it. But the short answer is that it's because everybody's so long-term thinking and time locked in this thing that people volunteer. It's like a decentralized autonomous organization. It's like a DAO, except there's not any BS governance or BS like tokens involved. It's just a really organic thing. And so, I mean, I don't know if you guys can see my thumbnail here, but I spent a long time going through 170 hours of past Hex Conference and Pulse Conference events that I've put on online. I've done 2 48-hour conferences, but most of the conferences are 4 days, 6 hours each, like what's coming up here, January 6th through 9th. But yeah, in total, there's been about 170 hours of conferences that I've done for free, and there's been about 170 speakers, and so you can see all the, well, it might be hard to see, but there's actually 168 people in the background image that I have here as my background. Those are all people who have spoke at the conference. So I'm super excited. I think the biggest year that we had was right around 100 speakers in 4 days in 2022. Last year we had 69 speakers, and this year it's still up for debate how many people we're going to have. But the first day on January 6th, in the afternoon in American time, we're going to have 5 different Zoom rooms running all at once. And if you are a power user of Zoom, which I intend to be by January 6th, and I've got a team of like 8 people that are helping me. Well, actually 10 people. We're going to run 5 different Zoom rooms, and we're going to put all the people on one screen. So you can have 49 people in a gallery view, and we're going to take 5 gallery views and stick them together on the same screen so that we can set the world record for the most YouTubers live at on a single screen. And so that's just like one example of one of the fun things I'm doing this year at the Hex Conference. There's still going to be 4 days of events and lots of speakers. The other cool thing that's different than the past years is I got super lucky on finding this AI tool that can lip sync into other languages, and it clones your voice too. So it's an incredible technology. I showed it to family and friends, and they're baffled by it. Like, because I am not good at speaking Spanish and Portuguese and Mandarin and Hindi and all these languages that I made videos of myself speaking these languages. And it, like, you know, I know people who speak Mandarin. I know people who speak all these different languages that we translated to, and I would say about 5 out of 7 of the languages were, they were rated as really well done. So that's pretty exciting, a pretty exciting feature of the Hex Conference that'll be coming up here in January. And yeah, so that's something I'm looking forward to. And then
Maddie, tell us about
yeah.
this security thing that you got going on. Or I
Ooh.
didn't mean to cut you off. You were just taking
Oh
a
yeah,
little
no,
pause
I
to
mean,
catch
yeah,
your
I mean that's the long and short version of the Hex Conference. I released the AI thing last week on my Twitter on Friday, and it got 44,000 views. Because I was featuring like 5 different people speaking 5 different languages in a 5-minute clip, and it's myself and Fashion Coder. She's a really cute woman in the Hex space. Richard Hart was in there. Johnny Chaos, who's one of the most loved Hex streamers, he was in there. And yeah, so people just loved that video, and I had a really good time making it. And then yeah, so that was the first surprise of the Hex conference this year. The second surprise dropped today with me announcing the world record attempt for most YouTubers live, and I released this image as well today, and so that's the exciting news today. And then, you know, it's rumored that there might be a third surprise coming, and then we still don't even know if Richard Hart is going to speak, but he's spoken at the past 3 conferences consecutively on January 9th each year. So it'll be really curious to see if he repeats that pattern this year, given that he hasn't streamed with anybody live since he streamed with me and all the people who participated in the panel last year. So yeah, so that'll be really cool. And so that kind of wraps up the 411 on the Hex conference. It's hexconference.com. If you are in if you have never been a YouTuber before and you want to come on for the world record, you're more than welcome. I'm excited about it. And all you have to do is go to the website mostlive.eventbrite.com, and it's linked to from hexconference.com. I just put that up today, and you can choose which of the 5, as long as there's tickets left. There's only 48 tickets to be on screen for each of the 5 different Zoom rooms, and you can choose which flavor is your style. Do you want to be in the 5555 room, Real DeFi, Money Printer? There's a welcome group, and then there's a 5th group as well. So yeah, so that's pretty exciting. You could, people can sign up for that even if you've never YouTubed before. All we ask for the world record is that you log your Twitter ID and everybody has a YouTube. If you're a viewer of YouTube, you still have a YouTube channel, even if you never uploaded a video. So, anybody is welcome to enter their information into the Eventbrite portal, and then you will get the link to join the Zoom meeting, and you'll be on screen with like 100 or 200 other people who are into Hex, and we'll go around the room. And this is part of what qualifies you as being a YouTuber, is because you'll be on YouTube, and we'll go around the room and ask everybody to say like one word at first about like, what do you love about Hex? And then as time allows in the hour and 15-minute segment, we will, ask more questions of going around the room. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, as you can tell. I'm pretty excited that this will be fun for people. And so that's the 4th Hex Conference 2024. The other thing that I've really done well at in the past year is to develop this protocol that really a lot of people haven't heard about it yet. It's called timepays.me. Time Pays Me. And basically it's based off of this idea that I did really well in Hex. And part of the reason I did so well in Hex is that I time locked. As far as the YouTubers go, not everybody says how long they lock, but I think I probably have the longest weighted average time lock out of any of the people I've ever heard share their amount. My average time lock is like over 12 years. And I didn't tell everybody else to do that. I just said, make a staking ladder. And I have a staking ladder for every year on my birthday. I have some Hex coming out, but I've done really well from Hex because I think Hex gives you a superpower when you time lock it. It saves you from your weak hands. And in the off chance, and it was an off chance when Hex started, believe me, on the off chance that your coin does really well, being able to time lock it is that's part of the superpower that allows people to do so well in crypto. The most memed Bitcoiner in history having to do with price is Greg Schoen, and he tweeted in 2011 that he had bought Bitcoin for 6 cents, 1,700 of them. He sold it for 30 cents, so he sold on a 5x. And now I guess it was 2012 when he did the tweet. Now Bitcoin was $8. And so he was complaining on Twitter about how he was too late. And so Bitcoiners, they've brought this up, for over 10 years now. Greg's tweet. And I messaged with Greg, because I thought it was so interesting, his situation. And I asked him, how are you doing now? What's going on? He's still working his low-paying software job. He's not retired. Greg never retired because he sold on a 5x. He turned his $100, his 1,700 Bitcoin at 6 cents. He turned into $500, and that never changed his life. If Greg had time locked his Bitcoin for 15 years, he'd be 2/3 of the way through his time lock, and he would have, if he had sold monthly, he would have cashed out over, I think, $10 million, and he'd still have several million dollars worth of Bitcoin, kind of depending where the market is at any given time. But yeah, so I realized this this part of human psychology where time locking is so valuable, and so I created a protocol where you can time lock any ERC20 or PRC20 that's on Pulse Chain. So any token on Ethereum or Pulse Chain, you can time lock in timepays.me, and you can choose at any time from 1 week up to 55 years. It's a long time. Some people get angry when I say 55 years, but I also volunteer at longevity foundations, so I think it's just the right amount of time. And basically 55 years is like, if you're 21, you're old enough to make financial decisions, and 55 years after that is like the average that people die. So, like one lifetime worth of strong hands, basically. With Time Pays Me, you can drip it back to yourself, so it unlocks based on the amount of time that you've served. So if I time locked for a year and I served a week, then I would get 2% of my coins out each week, because a week is about 2% of a year. If I time locked for 10 years, then I would be getting out 0.2% a week, because it's 10 times longer. So that's a drip. Another, type of time lock in Time Pays Me is a hard lock, and that's where you have all of the coins coming out at a future date. So for me, I knew that I would sell my Pulse on a 10x, and I thought it would do more than that. I still think it'll do more than that. And so as soon as Time Pays Me came out, it was a couple months after Pulse came out, I time locked half of my Pulse for a year, and I time locked 10%, I think, of my Pulse for 10 years, and I time locked 1% of my Pulse for 55 years. And that'll drip back. So in half of the amount of time of 55 years, I'll have half of my bag back. But if Pulse does 100x, then that means every year, I could be getting out more than I put in the first place. So it's like, yeah, it's and then if you have something that does 1,000x or 10,000x like Hex or Bitcoin or SHIB or Doge, and there's a fifth one, I think Pepe now, that did a more than a 10,000x. Who cares if you put 1% in Time Pays Me and locked it? You know, who cares if you put 10%? You're not going to miss the 10% until it's time to get paid. And with Time Pays Me, you can pay yourself every week in crypto. That's how the drip works, is that it can come out every week. So that's the first feature of Time Pays Me, is being able to pay your future self any token, like in Hex. You don't get yield like in Hex, but you still get price appreciation. So that's cool. Some people need protection to the downside, like you're going to sell if the price goes down. Some people need protection to the upside, like you're going to sell all of it when the price goes up. But those are different cases. There's 3 features of Time Pays Me. The second feature is being able to undo a hack. Now that sounds like a bold claim, doesn't it? Sounds like it too good to be true, especially in a ecosystem where we value holding your own keys. How is it possible to undo a hack? Well, we already knew that we wanted to make a protocol, a DeFi protocol that would be long-term. And so it's like, we've already been in Hex and experienced all the, you know, anxiety that goes along with long-term staking. Trust me, if you put if you put a small amount of money and then it became all the money that you could ever dream of, if you put that into crypto and you time locked it, you would be very worried about your security at that point. And so that's something that was a big deal to us, myself and the 2 other devs that I worked with. So it's kind of cool that we thought of this mechanic to be able to undo a hack. It relies on having a second seed phrase, and that's held by a smart contract. Well, it was basically so with Time Pays Me, you're creating a vault, and that vault is a smart contract that's very similar to what you have when you create a liquidity position on Uniswap. You go to a smart contract factory, and it issues you a smart contract that has both sides of your trade on it. That's how the liquidity position game works. So we utilize that same idea, basically where you create a smart contract that you issue to yourself. So you go to the smart contract factory, you issue it to yourself. So it's self-custody. You don't have to rely on any centralization or middlemen or any like master contract that is going to do you wrong. So you issue yourself a vault, and then that vault gives you all the options that we talked about with time locking. It also gives you the option to set up a second seed phrase. So you've got your first seed phrase. You never tell it to anybody. The public address of that is something that is in play. In this case, what you're doing is you're taking a second seed phrase, and you're taking the public address from that, and you're associating it with Time Pays Me. And that becomes your permission fallback. And we created the right set of rules to be sure that if your first seed phrase is compromised, your second seed phrase is not compromised, then you can recover your funds, which is an amazing thing. So to prove this, I did a little stunt where I put $10,000 worth of coins, and I gave out my seed phrase for that. And it was right around the time when I was doing a Pulse conference in Austin, Texas. And so there were a bunch of well-known YouTubers who like did it themselves, and they proved it to themselves and their audience and everybody else. I had it pinned. Now I have the AI thing pinned on my Twitter, but if you go to my Twitter highlights, you can see the my seed words. And so I published, like I read off on YouTube, and I like tweeted my seed words to the $10,000, but I had already secured it with my second seed phrase. So I was able to recover the funds even though everybody knew what my seed phrase was. So that's how I proved that. And it's kind of like also a security. It's Time Pays Me had an audit done, but then the second it's kind of like a bug bounty when I put my own $10,000 up, and you know, I would do more than that, but I don't want somebody to wrench attack me. I don't want to advertise like how much I have, but yeah, I felt like $10,000 was enough to prove the point, and yeah, so you guys might have questions about Time Pays Me, because that's kind of the intro to it. There's a tutorial thread on Twitter. If you go to x.com/timepaysme, it'll give you a walkthrough of how to set it up. The biggest complaint that I've had is people don't always put in their second, they don't, we've got a system set up so that it's really hard to mess it up. But if you have to sign a gasless transaction on your second seed phrase to be able to prove to the smart contract that that you have permission to use that as your backup. And yeah, but we've thought of everything, I would say, because, for example, let's say I want to travel around the world. And if somebody hacks my wallet, I want to know about it and stop them and not have to carry my seed phrase. I don't want to carry my primary seed phrase or my secondary seed phrase. So we made a way for you to sign a transaction ahead of time that can put the vault into panic mode, and which stops the primary seed phrase from being able to access the funds. And so that's, it's really pure DeFi. It's a really cool protocol. I don't know how popular it's going to be because I don't really get paid that much to talk about it. Like a 0.1% fee is really, a 0.1% fee is so low. We've had we've had $1 million lock up in there, and that paid out the protocol like $1,000 of fees. And that's split between 3 people, you'd imagine. So it's really designed for whales to not even worry about paying fees, really. And for everybody else, it's just kind of a blessing. It's a really low cost thing, but I'm not really that incentivized to talk about it. But I love talking about it nonetheless. So if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be totally down.
Maddie, did you design it so that you receive a notification if somebody else was trying to do something on the first
That's a great question.
seed phrase? Or how does that work?
That's a missing piece right now, because what I know about communications infrastructure is that there's no way for me to guarantee you, and I would never want to make a promise that I can't hold. There's no way for me to guarantee that even if you and I agree to exchange contact information, your cell phone carrier, your email provider, even Twitter and Facebook and everything like that, they can block messages that they consider to be spam. And so on a long enough time frame, do you really want 93-year-old Maddie in 55 years to like be in charge of notifying you? Well, the answer is I can't guarantee it even now. So we've left it up to the user to detect that they've been hacked. Now on Ethereum, this is really easy in 2023 because you can go to a little known website called etherscan.io. And the way that I would have my setup is that I would download on my phone a email app that I don't currently use. Maybe it would be Proton Mail. And I would only use this email for one thing, and I would let my phone blow up. I would let all of the notifications happen if this one email got triggered. And I would only give this email to etherscan.io. And I believe for free, you can get notifications on your address. So I would take my public address from Ethereum where I've created my Time Pays Me vault, and I would plug that into Etherscan. I've done this before. And then my phone will blow up anytime somebody sends or receives funds from that account. And so I've done this like if I'm accepting money from a conference, like if I have an in-person meetup and I'm selling t-shirts and conference tickets, and somebody wants to pay $100 to go to the event and get all this free stuff. Well, no, I mean, get all this paid stuff. My phone notifies me when I get a payment of $100, or on my private accounts, it notifies me when I'm doing something, when I'm ending a stake or starting a stake or swapping. My phone is blowing up telling me you're the one doing that. But if somebody else does it, I would also get a notification. And so that's how I would know at time 0 that somebody has compromised my primary seed phrase. Now, you might think, oh, it's just the degens and the people who don't know what they're doing with security that get hacked. That's not, unfortunately, that's not the case. There's a lot of times you're using a Trezor, a Trezor.io hardware wallet, which I recommend. And the dApp that you're working with really doesn't tell the Trezor what you're doing. And so the message on the Trezor is like, continue at your own risk. If you want to use like CowSwap and stuff, like good protocols. So there's always, so if you're a whale, if you have millions of dollars, if you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, even if you have tens of thousands of dollars in crypto, I mean, why would you risk it? Do you really have to trade that bad that you need all your funds available where you can't even, like with Time Pays Me, you're locked for 7 days. If you want to do a withdraw, it's going to take 7 days, but it doesn't have anything to do with anybody else except yourself and the smart contract. So that gives you a 7-day window to catch if somebody else is trying to do a withdrawal request, which is, I mean, this solves the major issue in crypto of getting hacked, because how are you going to get hacked if you're finding out if somebody's doing a withdrawal request and it's not you? So this is a way to detect a hacker without losing all your funds. Normally, when somebody hacks you because because you went to a porn website and now that you kept your crypto on your phone or on your computer, now you didn't use a hardware wallet, so the seed phrase is just encrypted on your local device, and it's easy for a keylogger to figure that out. So unfortunately, you're at risk. Did you really need your whole life savings in crypto to be tradable in the next few minutes, to where a hacker can just send it all using a bot? It disappears in seconds. But with Time Pays Me, you would get notified ahead of time that somebody's trying to withdraw, and then you can change ownership to the secondary seed phrase, and then all your time locks and your drips and your liquid funds in the vault, they're all right there. So it's only for people who are thinking long term, but it's a really cool feature. But
Really
on
interesting, Maddie,
yeah.
and I like how you've brought like the ethos of Hex and long term delayed gratification to just whatever your favorite coin is on Pulse or on ETH. That's really cool.
If
I'm
you message
curious.
me,
We were
if
talking
you
about
message me, if you message me, I can add more coins. Right now, it's just whatever people are requesting. In the future, Time Pays Me will
Mhm.
be able to take any coin that you put in. But right now, the protocol on Ethereum and on Pulse Chain can take any coin, any ERC or PRC20 token. But the front end that we have only does ones that have been requested, and that was just so people didn't wreck themselves at first. And you know, it'll be even better in the future, I guess is what I'm saying.
Cool. Earlier when we had started the call, we were talking about these. I was talking about this Tangem wallet, these cards. I don't know if you've seen these. Seems to be kind of a trend uh, of people going in this direction. And these things apparently have the option to not even write your seed phrase down. And it's just 3 keys, right? Like 3 cards, they're 3 keys. I'm curious if you know anything about that or if anybody has used your protocol with these or what you might have to say about that.
Look, having 3 copies of your seed phrase, that's a great start. And I think that the Tangem wallet, I've heard some other crypto YouTubers speaking about it. I like to keep it simple, and so I personally I haven't ventured off into the Tangem wallet because I already have a protocol that I think works really well. Um, but look, for convenience and for people who are not storing millions of dollars, Tangem sounds like a great start. For me, I'm, you know, I became a crypto millionaire on paper because of my Hex staking. I, made enough like with my yearly birthday stakes to like sustain myself for a long enough runway that I could have a couple of years of developing stuff and doing whatever I wanted, which ended up being streaming every single week, every Tuesday and Thursday, and then, some other stuff. But I like Trezor and Shamir. With Shamir secret sharing, it's a protocol where you break your seed phrase down into multiple overlapping pieces, and you can distribute them to different locations so that a single location being compromised does not compromise your entire bag. It's also a really good way to prove to yourself that you have the backups that you need. Um, you know, we all probably, anybody who does crypto casually and then takes it seriously might have stories of like not, like the first Ethereum I ever bought was like $12.50, and I paid a $7.50 fee to Coinbase, and it's in some like weird wallet that I don't have access to, but I like wrote the password down in a magazine and I like saved it. So technically I think I could access the funds, but it's, to me, I'm kind of treating it like a little time lock in and of itself. But you don't really want to be locked out of all your funds to where you can never get them. You want to be like locked out of your funds to where you're always going to have crypto coming to you in the future. And so if you're going to be one of these long-term people in crypto, you're going to learn a lot about security, and you're going to get really comfortable with the you know, with the choices that you're making in that regard. I mean, especially if you have something that does well. It's I mean, when crypto becomes, when the crypto that you buy becomes so valuable that it can like literally set you free, you're not going to take the security of it casually anymore. You're going to get real serious with it. And yeah, that's part of the reason why we I mean, it was kind of lucky that we figured out this this undo a hack thing. I mean, it's part of being long-term minded that you think to yourself, what's this is supposed to be programmable money. Look, I know it's like supposed to be I know it's we're doing this for the meme and to get rich, and it's not for the tech, but I actually like the tech. And so if we're coming up with a system that's programmable money, well, what rules do you want to program in? I want to program in being able to undo a hack. So that's what we did with the protocol. Now, and having the superpower of holding no matter how much the price goes up or down. That's cool sometimes. The third feature of Time Pays Me is even more out there than the first two, right? Like some people they'd hear like, oh, you want a time lock? That sounds like a scam. Those are people who are used to being like brutalized by the fiat system that inflates and doesn't pay any of the inflation to the people who are saving, who are holding the price up of the currency. You know, in the dollar, inflation is paid to governments and insiders. In Bitcoin, it's paid to miners who are burning electricity to secure the protocol. In Hex, it's paid to people who are time locking and holding up the price at the moment. And in Time Pays Me, it's you're just locking because you believe the future could be better. So that sounds like a scam to some people. Fine, you know, like saving money is a scam in fiat currency. Like it's, if the things that really matter, like having a safe car, the safest car that there is, and having healthcare and stuff, like some of that stuff goes up 20% a year. If you do the math, if you have $10,000 and you let it burn down 20% every year, it only takes 11 years to be worth $1,000 of purchasing power. So the dollar is cool because it doesn't inflate more than other fiat currencies, but crypto is cooler because you can figure out that the inflation and the adoption is it could be way better. So yeah, so there's the feature of Time Pays Me to time lock. There's the feature to undo a hack. The third feature is being able to pay yourself to do a healthy behavior. And you know, my background is research and therapy. And most therapists would say, if people don't want to change, then they won't. You have to want to change. But I worked with people who were addicted to drugs, who were court ordered to quit and go to treatment. And so I was working with people who did not want to change, and they still found a way to change. And it was, so that was really insightful to me about human behavior, and gave me like a lot of hope in humanity. So there's this the entire psychology field is known for something called talk therapy. That's what most people think of when they think of psychology. But wouldn't you know, the one intervention out of all of psychology that has a stronger effect size than talk therapy is called contingency management. It's like not very well known. contingency management is where you pay people to like quit drugs, or you pay people to lose weight or change whatever behavior. And you know, so I see this as a researcher, and I'm like, why is nobody doing anything about this? I worked in a neuroscience laboratory where we paid people $1,000 to quit smoking tobacco cigarettes. Back in like 2005, like $1,000 was enough to convince poor college kids to like quit smoking for 6 months. And so I saw the effect of contingency management. And so this idea, the greatest idea that I could have for Time Pays Me and for crypto is if people could use their savings to pay themselves to motivate yourself to do something that you normally wouldn't do, to be more productive, let's say, or to be healthier. And so that's like the big idea that I have in crypto that is actually, it's available now on Time Pays Me, although I haven't gotten the word out about it yet very much. You might ask yourself, well, Maddie, you know, like I'm a pretty technical person. How did you solve the Oracle problem, right? The Oracle problem in crypto is like, how do you know that somebody actually did something, right? Like, let's say my goal is to walk 10,000 steps in a day, and then I pay myself 1 wrapped Bitcoin Satoshi or 1 Ethereum. Well, no, that'd be too much. Let's say 1/10,000th of an Ethereum, or maybe I want to pay myself 1 hex for each step that I take, right? Because that's behavioral activation. That's supposed to be good for your mental health, to like take more steps. How does the blockchain know that you did that to be able to verify the payout? So we just made a really simple rule. This is programmable money, remember, on Ethereum and on Pulse Chain. So we made a really simple rule. You click a button to do the behavior lock and you set your goal. It can only be like 42 characters, I think, because we want to fit it on the blockchain. It's encrypted, but we want it to be there. And then you put the amount of money you want to put in. There's no time factor on this, as we'll see in a second. So the first example that I did of this is I wanted to write a book chapter. I wanted to write the first chapter of a book about Time Pays Me. So I locked up a bunch of USDC that I really wish I could get to right now, by the way. And Time Pays Me will generate a link that you can share a 6-digit password, and it like blocks you from seeing it at first, unless you like click a bunch of buttons. And so I can like text or email a person or a group of people who become my behavior validators. And so I send them a link. They don't have to be in crypto. They don't have to have a MetaMask. All they have to do is be able to get a text message and go click on a link to a website. It takes them, and all it says to them is what the goal is. Write chapter 1 of the book about Time Pays Me, and the 6-digit password that I've been blocked from seeing, kind of. And then they don't see how much money I locked. I could tell them, but it doesn't tell them that automatically. So now if I prove to them, my group of behavior validators, if I prove to any of them that I've completed my behavior, which in this case is writing chapter 1 of the book, I would send them the chapter, and then they would send me the password. As soon as I get that password, then I can unlock my funds within the vault of my Time Pays Me. And then I can immediately request a withdraw that I'll be able to send to an external wallet in 7 days. or I can immediately restake for a new behavior goal. And, you know, this person who's my behavior validator, they have no opportunity to run away with my money because they don't know my seed phrases, but they hold control over my money that I've given them so that I can pay myself to change your behavior. And if you think about how people work for a living, it's like you work, you're motivated by money, and you're doing, hopefully your job is something you like, but a lot of people work a job that they don't love every moment of it, but they do it because they want to get paid. And so if you can imagine like unleashing the power of your savings account and it's still yours. There was a thing that we built in that's cool, where let's say that your goal is to not buy junk food from 7-Eleven anymore. And so you lock up, you know, some large amount of money in Time Pays Me under the behavior lock, and then you give the behavior, you give the 6-digit passcode to like the homeless guy who lives outside of the 7-Eleven. Well, what happens if 3 months from now the homeless guy gets a home and now he can't give you the password? Like, he was the person who was proven that you did your behavior. If your behavior validator loses their code or turns against you in some way, or like gets a home, then your funds become unlocked after a year. It's not automatic, but the smart contract knows after a year has passed that like you could just put in the code 0000000 or like any number, and it'll unlock your funds. So if you don't change your behavior, your punishment is to wait for a year to get your funds out. Hope it's not a bull market, because you can't swap while you're time locked. And so that might make you more motivated if you locked something other than USDC. I locked USDC because I don't want to mess myself up that much. But yeah, you could see how powerful it would be if you time locked Shiba Inu when it was doing its big run. And then like, let's say you wanted to take 10,000 steps and pay yourself. You had this like great plan, and then you broke your leg. And like, it's a really bad break, and it's like not even safe for you to like take that many steps. Well, look, you could put your Fitbit on your dog and like run him around the yard and prove to your behavior validator, or maybe your behavior validator will give you the code and like understand and be like, all right, you know, you get a pass on this one. Or maybe you saved the password in the first place and you never gave it to anybody, and now you can unlock your funds. If you cheat, you're just right back in the beginning of where you were, where you have crypto savings and you have a behavior goal and you tried it and it didn't work. So the system relies on game theory that is, it's fine. You don't need an oracle that really knows if you took 10,000 steps, but you need a check and balance. And so I think we found a good medium, a good balance for that. And for extra points, I will tell you, pick behavior validators that are not in crypto, because then they will get an experience of seeing that crypto is more than just about money. It's about improving yourself. And so if you have a goal to get healthy in one way or another, or to improve yourself, and you share that with somebody and you're like, I need your help to like hold me accountable, I'm doing this crypto thing. And they're like, okay, I'll hold on to this link for you. And then, you know, then you achieve your goal and they see you living your best life. And then they might be more interested in crypto because they saw you, you know, they saw you do more than just get rich. You improved yourself.
Yeah, that's crazy
Super
cool.
interesting, Maddie.
Thanks. Yeah, and you can do it on Pulse Chain or Ethereum. So if you don't like Pulse Chain, like you could pay high gas fees and get it done. I think the other day when I was looking, it was gas was like 40 Gwei and it was like $30 to make a safe on Time Pays Me to make a vault. But see, it's different than in Hex. So in Hex, when you do a time lock, it has to go back and calculate your interest for every day. And that's what makes ending a 1,000 day stake on Ethereum in Hex so expensive, where it could be $200 today. In the bull market in 2021, it could cost you $1,000 to end a stake that was 600 days old. With Time Pays Me, you are you're not having to pay to do a calculation for every day. But you will still pay a gas fee when you're starting a lock, ending lock. You can, like, if I have Ethereum in my Time Pays Me, I can lock 1 ETH for 10 years. I can make another lock of ETH. I could do 0.1 ETH for 1 year. I mean, you can have multiple locks of the same coin, which is a good way to do it. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of all the different pieces to it. But yeah, and then on Pulse Chain, the fees are super cheap. So for like a penny, you can make a vault. And so yeah, it's you know, you're getting all the benefits of time locking, which is paying your future self, of being able to undo a hack as long as you set up the second seed phrase. If you don't set up the second seed phrase, Time Pays Me will not help you undo a hack. We wanted to make it easy to like access the features and not like, you know, reject you if you didn't figure out how to set up the second seed phrase yet, because you can set it up at any time. And then the behavior locking stuff is just like next level. So
See, and I think this is what is going to separate Pulse Chain from other EVM chains. The level of creativity and genuine helpfulness that the community, that value that people like you in the community bring, to people that aren't devs, that are just consumers, is as far as I can see, just way beyond anything that I see in the rest of the crypto world. When I am looking at other crypto influencers and so forth, my antennas are always up about getting scammed. And when I'm in the Pulse Chain community, I do not have to worry about that. There is so much more of the good-hearted nature of man, to me, visible in the Pulse Chain community than anywhere else in crypto, that I truly believe that that's going to be what separates us from the rest of the crypto world as the new bull market really gets going and we bring in, the plebs, so to speak, the no coiners when they come in. We are going to attract the kind of people that value that in a community.
when you look at the statistics of how many people are subscribed to Hex YouTubers compared to how many people still watch them, the numbers are 10x or more higher than other crypto channels, such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. And my theory behind this is that people get so wrecked by other crypto influencers because they sell out because it's they're traders, or they get greedy, or whatever it is. And it's crazy in Hex because people are time locked, so they stick around more. It's more of a sticky attentional environment. And then yeah, I mean, just people who are more long-term minded are gonna build less scams, and they're going to sell out, they're not going to sell out their audience. Now unfortunately, we've had scammers infiltrate the community before. Like there was somebody who was hosting conferences, who went by the name of Tony, and he like embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars and like put on a really bad conference. I was hoping that he was going to do a good job, because I don't want to put on all the conferences, but I haven't sold out, and it's just yeah, I think it's kind of part of what Richard Hart teaches too, with not selling it. Like, it's more valuable to not sell out your audience, because then all the whales are going to trust you, and then it's just more of a long-term play on like game theory. If you go back to like, because game theory is it's a term that's claimed by a lot of different philosophies and sciences, and they mean different things when they say it. John Nash, like, he was talking about when more people can win, that is the goal of game theory, is that if you make a game where more people are winning, then more people will play, and then that will back up the wins. So that's what we're doing in crypto, I think. The kind of crypto that is in Hex and Pulse Chain. And that's my Tuesday show. The name of it is Game Theory Gang. And there's so much stuff in game theory that we can't cover it all, but it's like it's the topic each week. Is all this, how are the tokenomics designed in whatever people are talking about? How is that something new that adds to the value? I mean, we heard earlier from Hexi Bastard. I mean, he really has a great team behind him, and that there's a number of builders that are just crushing it, and that it's all lining up the dominoes. And it's like, well, when is the Hex community going to go away, right? Because like, we've been down 99%, people didn't go away. I was in a horrible car accident where I should have died, and didn't last year when it was time to put on the Hex conference, and it all still went super well for some reason. But it's like it's like nothing the universe or the SEC or anybody, it's like it's not stopping this thing. And if so, it's like, yeah, it sucks that we're all down, but you would think that the community is going to eventually break through to the mainstream. Possibly. I mean, and Richard doing the outrage marketing didn't help either. I certainly told him to stop after a while, and but some people have a crazy theory that he didn't want the top to be toppier, which I mean, I couldn't onboard people as easily when he started talking about his PP, which was around the top. But some people think he has a genius plan mapped out, but that we're shaking out the weak hands, the people who don't believe. So, it's what is you know, and if you've seen the Highest of Stakes documentary, it's like an action documentary that I mean, I loved it so much. I watched it 8 times already, but
Hey,
yeah,
when it came out on Amazon, I did the same thing. You know, I went and saw it twice in the theater, and I saw it in Dallas and in Austin. And then when it came out here a few weeks ago, I think I watched it after I bought it. I watched it like 4 or 5 days in a row, just because you know I was picking up something different every time, and
yeah.
it was an entertaining documentary.
Yeah, and I mean, even in like the trailer and stuff for that, he's saying like every scammer will tell you the same thing, you know, the same thing I'm telling you. Right? But the you know, if you're not following the story closely, the professor from DePaul University in Chicago, which is not too far from me, Lamont Black, he's the one of the 2 characters that's against Hex in the movie. He also worked at the Fed for a while, like, you know, the Federal Reserve. He loves Hex now. He's on all of our streams all the time. Like, it's incredible. Like, this story is playing out in the open, and people, like, it's my theory. Look, I could be wrong. I'm not giving you financial advice, but it's my theory that people are going to look back on now and be like, what? There was an ex-Fed economist who teaches cryptocurrency at DePaul, and he was a skeptic in the Highest of Stakes documentary. And he was openly in like 15 streams super positive about Hex after he finally understood it. And everybody else didn't understand it yet. Like, I mean, we'll see. You know, time will tell.
Yeah, I've been, you know, following him on Twitter, and I mean, he's a Hexagon for sure now.
Yeah. Well, I made sure that I have a habit of like gifting celebrities. If I meet a celebrity, I usually gift them some crypto, and I've got this down to a science now. Of course, there's a there's a there's a type of physical coin that you can get called a cold storage coin. They're manufactured by this guy who I learned about in 2017. He made the logo for Bitcoin with like the circuits on it. Like, Satoshi didn't make that. It was a dude who was early in Bitcoin. So this dude who was early in Bitcoin who made the Bitcoin logo started making these physical coins, and it's like you can get them in silver or copper. You can get them in gold too, I think. And it's a 1 ounce coin that has a key phrase. It has a private key embedded in it underneath a tamper-proof seal, and it's laser etched in a way that is fireproof and flood-proof. So I have a stack of these Ethereum coins that are 1 ounce copper coins, and so whenever I want to onboard a celebrity, I like break open the seal, load it in my computer, make a hex stake for like 15 years. In Lamont's case, I did something extra special with Time Pays Me, but then, you know, so now I have if I've onboarded like 100 family and friends, like if they lose their seed phrase, if I'm gifting them crypto, I'm keeping a copy of the seed phrase for when they lose it, basically. But if I'm onboarding somebody, I'm teaching them how to get their own seed phrase. And with these cold storage coins, I mean, there's counterparty risk. So you don't want to put a lot of money on there. For me, I'll put $100 on there and I'll gift it to somebody. And if the guy who was so early in Bitcoin that he invented the logo, if he steals the money, then I understand the risk. right? I'm not putting millions of dollars on these things, but they're really cool for onboarding because people like feel it, and it's heavy and it's a coin, and they're like, yeah, I'll hold on to this. And now they've been onboarded into Hex, and they're getting paid every single day, trustless yield. The cold storage coin that I gifted to Lamont and Kelly, who were both in the movie when I met them at the Chicago premiere, I gifted them like I forget what the quote was in the movie. She was like, "Are you telling me if somebody gifted you $250 of Hex and it turned into $20,000, you wouldn't take the money?" And he was like, "Well, I don't think I would say no to that." Anyway, so I gifted them like whatever amount that was, like $250. And I put it into Deci, which is a wrapped hex stake, which is like a little bit more advanced, but it's basically just a way to save gas fees, and to have like a tradable token that represents a hex share that actually pays out every 10 years. It's part of the Maximus DAO contract. Anyway, it's a liquid coin that earns yield from Hex. So it's like a liquid T-share. And so I like the coin that I gave to Lamont Black and to Kelly Richmond Pope, they I took $250 of Deci, which is a wrapped Hex stake, and I put it into Time Pays Me, where it drips out for 20 years. So if they wanted to, and if Hex mooned, they could get paid every single week from that Hex stake for 20 years, kind of like a bond or something. But so, and they can hold it in their hand. How cool is that? And
With
okay,
the-
here's the last part. Here's the last part.
What if
They could sync up a second seed phrase, and they could take custody so that the Bitcoin logo dude and myself could never get access to their funds. They could use the undo a hack feature because they have the primary key. They could take self custody and do crypto right.
if you're doing the drip feature and you missed showing up to, accept it or whatever, or any of the time locks, do you get dinged if you are late, or if you just show up a year later, or how does that all work?
Great question, because in Hex you get penalized 1% a week for 2 years if you are late to your stake. And if you're early, you also get penalized severely. Up to 100% of your principal and your earnings can be vaporized if you end a Hex stake early. With Time Pays Me, you cannot end early. If you have a drip, on a weekly basis, you can withdraw the amount of time that you've served. If you don't withdraw, then it just accrues. So if I did a 2-year stake, I could take out weekly, or I could wait half a year, or I could wait 10 years. And then after 10 years on a 2-year stake, then I would just have to wait a week to get it out because of the security feature. And so there's no penalty for being late. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. There is one feature we really wanted to have a cool solution for inheritance, and not everybody needs that service. But with like, you could ask yourself like, well, how is this different than a Gnosis safe, which is also a smart contract that allows you to have multiple signatures for a transaction. And the reason it's different is because when you go through the permissions that the second seed phrase has, it it's different than giving control. right away. So one thing that the second seed phrase can do, though, is it can. So there's something in the protocol called a dead man switch. So if your longest time lock on your vault has expired by over a year, and you have a second seed phrase set up, the second seed phrase can now take control of the vault. But if but your second seed phrase cannot take control of the vault if the primary seed phrase doesn't approve it. And so that's really special because that could allow you to do an inheritance situation where I set up a separate wallet where I give the second seed phrase to like whoever I want to inherit my money. And I don't have to trust that the lawyer isn't going to like take the seed phrase and like go do something with it, because it as long as I keep staking on my primary seed phrase, it if I keep staking longer, then as long as I'm alive, it never reaches the point where the longest lock has expired by a year. So that's good if like you intend to become a crypto millionaire and you don't want your kids to like murder you and take the money. That's like really good stuff.
Hey, Maddie,
Pretty
since we're
technical,
looking at
but yeah, it's I would challenge anybody to the hard part would be to like listen to my streams where I've like sporadically talked about Time Pays Me and like learn everything that there is about it. I really need to like, I really need to like give artificial intelligence like the whole story or something. Maybe I can just download this like audio and but yeah, it's if you can think of something that's not perfect in it, I would love to hear, because the auditors didn't find anything wrong with it, and I think we maxed out the game theory in a positive way.
And what about the book? Are you finished with the book about Time Pays Me? Are you still working on it then?
Oh man, like it was really interesting. So I had gone to a tech conference in LA for like the Allin podcast, which is the most watched financial podcast. It's in the top 5 of all podcasts in existence right now. And so I like got to meet all these people who are super powerful tech people, and like Apple and Google and all this stuff. So I really got inspired by that, and that's when I picked a couple of them to be my behavior validators, because I wanted to onboard them into crypto. One of the guys is from SpaceX. So I'm like, all right, these are guys who are like upper management. They're not the most senior people in the company, but they talk to Tim Cook, they talk to Elon Musk, like not regularly, but enough. So I'm like, all right, I need to like get these, cause that's sure I could convince people on YouTube like every day for 93 years, or I could just like convince one person at a company that has 1 billion users, like Google or Apple or Facebook or any of these. And, maybe they'll just build it into their software if they think it's a good idea. So that was like the revelation that I had at the tech conference when I was talking to these people, and they're like, yeah, go for it. And so I'm like, all right, I need to write a chapter. I need to like get them involved. And then I start writing the chapter. Well, I got COVID pretty bad from the conference, and so I recovered from that, and then I started writing the chapter, and I'm like, I didn't realize, because I locked enough money to where I'd be really motivated to do it, but I didn't realize that I'd get a bunch of like new ideas for for how it could be better by writing the book, by writing the chapter. And so then I was like thinking to myself, well, should I improve the protocol? Like, because basically the idea the idea of making it better was that there are only 5% of people are in crypto, and then 95% is really hard to get in. But this idea of like paying your future self or like changing your behavior by motivating yourself with a reward, that doesn't have to involve crypto. And so I was thinking of like trying to expand Time Pays Me to like be, if you like, you could choose if you wanted to, or if it was like a parenting app or something, but even if you're the adult, you could choose that like you don't get to go on Twitter and Angry Birds and like whatever cool games people are playing now. You don't get to do those things. Like your phone won't let you do those things until you complete some task that you choose for yourself. So you're like, I'm thinking like, all right, we only have millions of people in crypto, but there are billions of people who already have smartphones and who already deal in the currency of like dopamine hits. And so like, you know, sure, I want crypto to do really well, but like the more important thing than the accounting system of the world is like how productive people are. Because if people could get like 10% more productive, the entire world would be like way richer, no matter what money you're using. So so the bigger idea is like, how do people motivate themselves in a way that, like, if AI takes our jobs and we just like motivate ourselves to become better artists or teachers or whatever people want to be, smart contract dreamers or something, like you could keep people being really productive even if everything gets really easy and better. So when I started writing the book chapter, I was like, oh shit, maybe I should pay attention to that in like the pitch to these big tech companies. But that's kind of where I got stuck. And then I got to the point where I'm like, well, now I have to focus on the Hex Conference for like a month or two. And so I'm like, all right, well, it'll be fine when I go back to working on the chapter. I think I'll have a fresh perspective. And I think at the end of the day, it's all really about storytelling. So I think I could tell the story that I just told you guys in the book chapter, and that would be enough to get my money back from my behavior validators, and then I can buy ETH before it goes to 16K.
Hey guys, I got to jump off. I've got an early day tomorrow, but before I go, since you're on Jaren's stream, Maddie, you got to ask, globe earther or flat earther?
I have met some Hexicans who are of the flat earth thinking, and I think I saw this stream with Richard Hart where he argued against that. I'm gonna stay undecided for now.
All right. Good answer. Hey man, I really appreciate you coming on. It was a great stream. Guys, I'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Take care.
Awesome. Peace, Ramon. Awesome, Maddie. Yeah, and it looks like Jaren had to duck out because he had another show scheduled, and we've gone a little bit past the normal time that we end, but it's really awesome, man. You've come up with some really fascinating security features and the game theory mechanics behind this thing. This is cool.
Thank you.
Have you thought or like talked to other people who have behind wallets, like that maybe a wallet might team up with you and integrate this just like directly built into the wallet?
I haven't spoken to any wallets. I like I do have a line of communication with Trezor, so I could give that a try. I think that's a good idea. It seems like when I look at like what MetaMask is posting about, they're like getting more woke and talking about a bunch of stuff that doesn't even make sense. I still like MetaMask like overall, even though I hear bad things about him.
Oh,
But you know, it's like, yeah, who knows? They might listen to reason, and I think, yeah, I think. Look, I'm not somebody who like sells people on stuff. Like, maybe I have like some good scientific arguments, but like, you know, if I had made a token or if I had done a sacrifice, I would have like the right people to be like going out into the business world and like making the connections. What you're gonna see me do is like way more organic, and maybe somebody hears this, or maybe AI picks up on it, and then when Tim Cook is like, "Hey, how do we fix the money and fix the world?" then AI just like tells them about Time Pays Me or something. Who knows? But I will try, and if people have ideas or connections, like I will talk to wallets, I will write chapters, I will keep YouTubing for another 158 weeks, and you know, whatever it takes. Cause I you could probably tell I enjoy this stuff,
right.
and so
I know you do, Maddie. It just makes me think about like brother KG. Like, I don't know when the last time you talked to him, but I presume that you know him, and
he was
it
on
just
my show on
seems like
Tuesday.
something like maybe a wallet from within the community I want to support. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I really haven't like pressured that many people to use Time Pays Me, even though I like run the conference, so I know everybody. But yeah, I think like KG, he's already said that he wants to learn the ins and outs of it. I think really if I had a lot more documentation, maybe that would help some people. But nowadays, man, I use AI for everything, and it just keeps getting better every day. So it's like if you go to ChatGPT and ask about Time Pays Me, it'll tell you accurate things. Seems like we're close, but
Just
it's
the regular version of ChatGPT.
like 3.5. Has anybody tried out Grok yet? I've been impressed with it so far. All right, I'm on chat 4. I'm gonna go to 3.5. Tell me about
No.
Time Pays Me. You know, ChatGPT's been getting lazier. I don't know if you guys realize that. If you don't use it every day, like it's actually a problem.
Maddie, one other question I got about Richard. You know, you mentioning, well, it's a mystery. Willem's in the past. You know, clearly you've communicated with him, and have a line open to him. I mean, have you asked him? Have you heard from him anytime recently? Have you heard from him this year?
The connection was breaking up a little bit, but I think I heard the question about my communications with Richard. I like can't really say like what like any specifics or anything, but I have been really open about the fact that um I don't know if he's going to be speaking this year, but I certainly would hope so. And you know, that's like if Richard was going to speak at the Hex Conference this year, as he has in the past, um, you know, I would be thrilled about that, and that would be like, um, it'd be a surprise beyond like the 3 surprises that I know of, which is the AI language translation and the world record attempt. And there's like a third thing that is not Richard related that I have planned to announce in the next probably a week from today. So we're not far off now. It's like 21 days or something until the first day of the Hex Conference. So I think at least by January 9th, the last day of the conference, we're gonna know, because that's normally the day Richard speaks. So I mean, I'm gonna be sitting on the edge of my seat just like you, and I hope to hear from him.
Dude, I'm sure you guys will put out some entertaining and educational and feel good content regardless if he shows up or not. But it'd be cool if
Yeah.
he did.
I agree.
Maddie, I might need to hit you up after the show. Perhaps you could help us connect to some other people who might be good candidates for us to have a jam with that we haven't already connected with. Because clearly you have connections within the Hex and Pulse ecosystem.
Yeah, I'd be happy to connect you with people. I think it's awesome. Like the best advice that was given to me when I started, in the YouTubing space and live streaming and being a part of a crypto community. The advice that was given to me was that the best thing that you could do for yourself and for others is to cross promote. And so that's like basically what the start of the Hex Conference was. It's like I had attended a bunch of scientific conferences before, and I had run a bunch of like group therapy meetings before. And so I was like, I could do this. Like I could invite everybody and try not to leave anybody out. And, I interviewed people individually at the same time I was asking them to come to the conference. And luckily there were other streamers like Hexologist and Discourse Syndicate that like vouched for me basically. And so it like without cross promotion, then I would never have been able to build up other people the way that they build up me. So it's really cool. And I would love to connect you with people that I think are of high quality and would hopefully add to the conversation.
Cool, man. Well, I'm really thank you so much for spending some time with us and agreeing to come meet with our group. And just want to let you
sure.
know, man. I mean, I know some other people have watched the Hex conferences as well, and I wasn't there for the first one, but I've after the second, I've been watching them and planning to be there in January. And
Awesome.
Appreciate everything that you're doing behind the scenes for the community, dude.
My pleasure. Yeah. And hopefully we'll be able to get a copy of this recording and get it out to the people, and hopefully everybody who's watching live and on the replay has enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. And my I guess
man. It was really good too to have you there with Hexi. That you guys got into a good flow.
Oh yeah, totally. And if people they want to find out more, just go to hexconference.com and you can find all my stuff there. So I'll catch you guys later. Thanks for having me on.
It's from Maddie Allen of Hex Therapy Live. I like Maddie. Maddie tries to make the world a healthier place. He's a mental health professional. He's done research. Big videos on sudden wealth syndrome. There's nothing that a human being can do better than try and heal his fellow man. Maddie
like
Allen's got that covered. He does emotional, feel good, mind management, emotion stuff like as his gig because he's a therapist. That's what he does for a living. Like he helps heal people.